Good day, my friends. Always great to spend time talking with you and going over the good stuff. I've always, if you added the time I wasn't practicing, probably almost 50 years, in this field of raw foods and fruitarian thinking and herbs and things like that. And it's just such a feel-good, just a great field. It's a God field, and everything about it feels good. Detox, maybe not. But you got to realize each of us has created everything we're experiencing. And this is real important that everyone learn, is that you're the driver of your own car. Sometimes societies and the social consciousness is all I don't know. It's encompassing in the sense that it loses that individuality. It sacrifices the individual and the freedom for the false security of union. Interestingly enough, though, I've tried very hard to unite us on this planet, both spiritually and especially in health fields, because we have to unite, because we are all from the same source. And we're just the same source, playing and having fun. And in that, of course, you have positive and negative, and you have some of the most scary, most bizarre, most disgusting, most vomitous, negative forces that you can imagine. On the flip side, you have the most etheric, most nirvanic side of God that you can't even discuss. It's just, there's no words to discuss ecstasy and nirvana and joy that is way beyond anything you can imagine. Both of these sides of God home you and work you so that you can become a conscious creator in your own worlds, because you're already doing that, except creation is already fixed. And what a lot of souls don't realize is you're all being guided through these experiences. As you awaken, become more conscious, you become the conscious dreamer. Meaning that God's expanding itself, ever expanding itself. I can't even imagine how big. Because it trains itself, its individualized self, it trains its individualized self to become the conscious dreamer, and that's you. And so it is time to wake up and become the conscious dreamer. Although this is days of our lives here. This is creation. So there's a lot of souls that are not going to wake up here, not supposed to, because something has to keep the dream alive, keep this whole school, this educational system, if you look at it in that way, in place. So karma rules. If you look at all this and how God has set up all these things, it's just friggin' amazing. It's like, that's why you can't help but become a God lover, no matter how you see that word and how you depict that word. It's enough to say there's a conscious intelligence creating and driving everything. And you are very much a part of that. And understanding that brings so much joy and ecstasy. It's the mind that keeps you separated, but that's its job. Its job is to separate you, create the social consciousness, separate you from the one, and appear to be the many. So, as we work together as a team, you must always maintain your individuality and your freedoms. You must always maintain yourself, even within the group consciousness. Because when you look at your friends, you're looking at yourself. When you're looking at all life, you're looking at parts of yourself. And that's where this love needs to come from, this divine love that springs up deep within an individual when he recognizes that everything is a piece of the all. Everything is a piece of the whole. It's a piece of the one. 11:11, remember that? Individuality, yet the social consciousness. We stand alone, but together. See? I mean, it's just all there for one to take a look at. We're going to do some subject matters because I know we need to do that more. And it's just been one busy 2 months on me, boy, and I apologize not doing more videos for you, and we'll get into some good subject matters and stuff. I'd like to do more spiritual videos too, really kind of tap into that for you, and because the growth of you, of yourself, or the awakening, I'll say, because it really, some people think this is you learn and grow, and that's the mind. The mind can, it's like God throwing out pieces of food for the animals and stuff. That's the mind. The mind has to chew. The mind is set as a body. It has no self-consciousness, but the mind is simply a body like the physical body, but much more, of course, much more etheric, if I could use that word. But it is a mind. It is a body. And you use that to experience creation. As we were talking, a good example of that, the mind, hooked with the emotions, takes an experience, judges it, compares it to all the other experiences that it has. With the emotional body, labels it good or bad. Did I have a good time? Did I not? How did I? That sort of thing. And then it's stamped into your library called the Akashic Records. People have known about these for a long, long time. And so that's how the mind works. It compares, it analyzes, it stores. It's a computer. What do you think? How would we get the idea for computers? The mind. And you have 3 layers of the mind. So it's just fun to know all those things and to experience all those things. I say the most important thing one can do is let go of any judgment or anything that blocks your ability to be open and learn. At the same time, you always want to sit in control of your world. When things come into you from other minds, do you want to let it in or do you want it to stay outside? So a lot of people just let things come in and sit and start to grow. And governments love to plant seeds like these things. I mean, that's the art. If you're into advertising and you are very good at subliminal characters, you're gonna do well. Because if you take a look at the art of advertising and how they're getting into your mind by configurations. I remember I was into that subliminal advertising and how they write words where you can't see them, but if you look right, you can see them. And I remember looking in a Playboy magazine once, because that's where you kind of see the liquor ones. And there it was, Jim Beam, one of them, and you had two guys standing at a fireplace looking at this one woman on a couch. So you immediately had that look in their eyes like, we're going to go do something. And then you had a big glass of ice with Jim Beam or something, and the ice was just naked people all wrapped together. And if you looked, you could see how they did that. Very artfully done. And to the subconscious mind, wow, boom, boom, boom. Because when you quiet the conscious mind, that's the outer mind that takes your attention so much. The higher mind sees everything, just like you, consciousness, sees everything. The mind only sees bits and pieces, because that's in creation. You can't see everything in creation. Not meant to. Can't. Impossible. Creation is set up with what should I call, individualities or frequencies. You can't see the whole thing, only from consciousness, that's what you are. So it's a different thing than the mind knowing everything. It is you become everything. It's hard to explain the difference. One thing is analyzing and the other is becoming. And that's how you, me, and all individuality pieces of God experience. We move in and become the experience. The mind analyzes, observes, and rationalizes the experience and categorizes it according to the emotional body's response to whether it is a good experience or a bad experience. In the reality of life, it's just cause and effect. Every single thing is cause and effect. So when you have a modality here making up this illusionary concept of diseases, and that these concepts include pathologies and things about nature, and the nature's bad, and that you have to protect yourselves and things like this, what you're getting is an abrasiveness to that which is truth. You're getting intellectual. You're getting the mind and the training of a mind, and you can see how you can train a mind to move and operate in fields of untruthfulness, things that are not true. Because in creation, you can make up anything. You can make up, look at people, you can make up any story you want, tell anybody you want. You can play any game you want in creation. It's yours. You're free to do anything you want here. However, when you're involved in societies, you have your governments, or you have your towns, or your village chiefs, or whatever. And or your shamans, and of course these try to direct. In the past, villages had spiritual guides. We don't have spiritual guides anymore. We have religious guides. And because we lost our spirituality to a big extent, we have wars over religious belief systems. Spirituality isn't a belief system. Spirituality is an active awareness, an active participation in consciousness, and an expansion and an awareness of how we interact together, and that we're all from the one source. So those things that are divided become the one. And that's just when you start to grow and meditate or contemplate and grow in that manner, everything that was divided becomes the one again. And that brings ecstasy and joy like nobody's business. So even though you're individual, we're still part of the one. So let's take a look at some of these questions here, and they're going to make me up some subject matters. I remember as I was coming here, Jennifer was saying that we need to discuss a little bit the fact that some people think that if you're not filtering, don't take any lymphatic formulas. I think you should always take one lymphatic formula if you're not filtering, because you need to get those kidneys filtering. And I think to have a lymphatic formula to work on the kidneys themselves would be important. I think when you have too many lymphatic formulas, this is obvious. You're drawing too much into eliminative organs that are not filtering and are not, are halfway shut down. Same with the skin. If you're not sweating well, you're creating action in the body with no elimination. So we're like stirring a pot without dumping out some of the ingredients, so to speak. And so that's where you can feel different things happen and going on here during detoxification. Healing crisis is a little different in the sense is that that's when you really get the body focused on rebuilding itself and cleaning itself. And to be honest with you, it doesn't take much to do that. All you have to do is just switch your diet from an acid-forming diet to a base-forming diet, and suddenly your body goes, yoo-hoo! All right, we're ready. I'm going. And unfortunately, some people take their body so far down that it takes a little while for the body to giddy up and go, yahoo! Because you've taken your bodies too far down. But it's not your fault. You're in a planet of unconsciousness, extreme at this level. I've always thought, maybe this part of creation is relatively new. Even though we're talking billions and billions and billions of years old, still that there's no time factors in consciousness. So this could be relatively a new kid on the block, because the consciousness here is so varied and unbelievable. And so you run into that as you awaken. You see what it's like for those that are not awake yet. And you can't judge ever, because we are all unconscious at any given time at one level or another. So there is no judgment. We all just have to work together and learn how we grow in the proper way. Because there's just so many byways and pathways in creation that take you. It's kind of like in health. You've got all this propaganda and all this misinformation that's been distributed from, I suppose, souls that felt they were doing right. But a good example would be the protein myth, because anytime you're into research and you're looking at all this stuff, one of the big things that step up as the problems in life are proteins. So on this side, in science, we find that everything deals with proteins, and proteins and acids are the problem. On this side, you have people telling you to consume more of them. So which side is positive and which side is negative? See, so that's part of the problems. Is that, we can label those things, of course, but the bottom line is, for every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. Chemistry is chemistry, physics is physics. Two of the things you have to learn if you want to be healthy is the two sciences. When you look at your food you're eating, there's two sciences involved here: energy and chemistry, physics and chemistry. So when you look at a food, it has to have energy in it. Foods are full of energy until you cook them. And as you begin to destroy that food, it begins to lose its electromagnetic energy, which is its consciousness, its intelligence. So you start to dissipate that, as you would anything. You start bringing it down to the atoms again, and so you lose so much. So you have all these people out there saying, I have no energy, and yet you eat everything dead. The second thing is chemistry. And the worst thing I think, but this is just the way creation's set up to teach us, is that you can't separate, you can't get chemistry and tear it apart and isolate it and reconfigure it and give it back to you. We have not the consciousness to do that at the human level. This level, lacks quite a bit of awareness and the ability to do anything like that. That was the creator. And the whole point is the intellectualism can take you off of having fun and enjoying your ride. Of course, it's not all about enjoyment. So, I don't know what to say about that other than the first order of the day always is check the diet on everybody that you and the people you're working with are dealing with. It is always important to move to a raw food-based diet. You're just moving into a diet that all other creatures on this planet are already in. Nobody goes out there. A beaver doesn't go out there and prepare his little clam for anything, does he? Get him a little fire going, and no. And you wouldn't do that because it would destroy the nature of the food. So when you look at that, man was definitely meant to be, or soul at this level was meant to, get down and dirty for sure, and really get into some low levels. But I think that also makes the enjoyment for the higher levels as well, and a learning experience that when you become the conscious dreamer yourself, that your worlds don't implode on yourself. If you want to get an idea of that, get the Tiger's Fang by Paul Twitchell, the Tiger's Fang, and read his experience when he got to the level where he became the conscious dreamer. Read that. That'll give you a good insight to exactly what God is doing to itself and exactly what's going on. When you understand that, it's amazing. It's friggin' amazing. Woo! You just can't comprehend anything like that. It's so immense. So, one should always take at least one lymphatic formula with at least 2 kidney formulas. And I'll say if you can't get your kidneys filtering after a month or so, I would probably take a kidney glandular for at least a couple of bottles to kind of maybe shake that kidney awake a little bit. Outside of that, I don't know. I know this much. I gave one guy a 400 milligram adrenal glandular, and he started filtering the next day. So we know that the adrenals have a big role. I don't know how in filtration other than, perhaps dopamine, acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter side of that. I don't know other than the sodium-potassium balance and all the other steroid mineral utilization issues that deal with kidney filtration. If there's any of those at all, I have no idea. So it's something to really to chew on for the future mentally. But outside of that realm, you can't because the mind can't find answers. I mean, you're moving into a whole new level of understanding this whole planet is. And it's thanks to you, beautiful souls, that are helping this planet immensely to do this. And what a good feeling, isn't it, to help the world and help people, to other souls, because they're part of you. Whether you like it or not, everything is a part of you. You can't get away from it. You come out of the one. Let me see. Does Dr. Morse have us take an herbal cleansing of the liver and different organs before we do anything else, or what does this protocol mean? Someone had asked this question. I don't know how it got in this in your questions here, but it's enough to say that I don't do any liver flushes or any other kind of flushes before we go on a program. That's what this whole program is about. We don't have to do any of these flushes, and I would be very cautious about liver flushes. And that brings in a thought. There's some dude out there doing salt waters and a lot of things, I think, that are contraindicative. And I just adamantly disagree with consuming salt water. You have to be real careful. I've had survival programs and stuff and training and stuff, and you just have to be real careful. Taking salt water is not essential, not in any way. You have to be very careful. You throw your sodium-potassium out of balance, you affect your cell metabolism. So you have to be real careful about playing with isolates and minerals, and even things like salts. Even if you use Himalayan or real or Celtic salts, they're full-bodied salts, but these are very elemental. So their electrical charges are low. They're more obstructive, in my opinion. They're actually more for bowel electricity, I would think, than anything else, because minerals are hard to absorb in the human body. That's why chelation therapy was developed a long time ago, to try to find a better form to bring an isolate into the body. So I don't know. There's all kinds of thoughts and theories about all those sort of things. The bottom line is, do we want to spend our entire life intellectualizing and theorizing over health, and so just eat it? Just eat your health. Just like Hippocrates, let your food be your medicine and medicine be your food. Start eating your foods. The herbs are only there to help us, just like the animals use them to help them. And they help us in a magnitude of ways. We got formulas to stop internal bleeding. We got formulas to increase kidney function. We got formulas to increase liver function. We got formulas. These herbs help cells to regenerate. There's other herbs that help the body to clean itself. There's other herbs that enhance the function of the neurological systems. I mean, that's where we get our goodies. Not in pharmaceutical land, in botanical land, in God land. And there's so many good ones. It's so much fun that people get so constipated and so restricted in the mind and emotions that they judge and they have opinions. Like, dump that, because you'll never get well with those kind of attitudes. You can't. You're restricting your own flow of energy. It doesn't matter, because you can't prove the negative side of that, because that's why they were created for. There's too much history in botanical use. There's bizarre stuff everywhere, guys. You have bizarre stuff in neurology. You have allopathy's all bizarre. So you got all kinds of bizarre stuff. It's not all bizarre, you got good surgeries, you got some good things in there, of course, just like naturopathy. But now naturopathic medicine is scarring, in my opinion, naturopathy. So it's just it's just the mind. And the mind loves to do that. It takes something for a while, now it's got to do something with it. I see that in myself. I'm a creator, so I get at home in the gardens, and I go, I want to move that over there, and I want to do that over here. It's just the play. But there's a part of you that have to watch your play and turn it off or turn it on as you wish. You can play, but don't get lost in the play. That's been the problem. And you become the unconscious dreamer. And therefore you have to go through creation. When you become the conscious dreamer, everything changes. Pretty cool stuff. Now, here's one. Return to Gen W. Oh, okay. Subject. If I do not want to order the on the usage, how long will it take? Oh. Will swimming in chlorinated water interfere with detoxifying? No, it won't interfere with detoxifying, but geez, I've got a saltwater pool, but I tell you, it's just right on the verge of chlorine. I mean, salt. You see how all that works, but chlorine pretty strong. You have to be careful. Alkalis can burn just as bad as acids, so you have to be real careful on each end of the spectrum. Balance is where the key is. Balance. And in that balanced state is consciousness. If you're on either side, you're in the world of mind or emotions. I have an omega juicer for wheatgrass. Okay? Is this okay for grape juicing? Yeah, I guess you could. Yep. Wasn't this the same diet that Steve Jobs had? I don't know. They claim he went down to Mexico or something and went on a fruit diet. But you don't know who knows where he was in his pancreatic cancers and stuff. I have no clue, and what he did, and how long he did, how much chemo, if he did chemo. I don't know any of that kind of stuff, This is the problem out there. People make blanket statements. They don't have any facts on their hand, and so then things build up. I would say that if he had a fruit diet, he needed to, because that's vital. This idea that fruit causes anything is insanity. And as long as those people believe that, you'll never get well. And you'll always be isolated from God because that's part of your food, because we are frugivores. You can't deny that. I've done extensive studies of physiology, anatomy of the vertebrates, and the 4 basic vertebrates, and we are the frugivore vertebrae. That's hard to deny that. Just because we're eating another way doesn't mean we're designed to eat that way. Matter of fact, if you take a look at it, you realize we're all in the shape we are because of our lifestyles, and the main part of lifestyles is diet. So, if someone wants to deny that diet is part of their problem, then they're living in la la land. They're living in a very sheltered way, and they won't find truth, at least until they awaken a little bit. Oh, okay. Now, let me go on here. You always want a fruit diet if you're detoxifying, but it's beyond detoxifying. Fruit diet is so energetic. The problem is it's almost too energetic for the average individual who hasn't matured spiritually yet. So this is what happened to me when I was young. I hadn't matured spiritually for the energy I was getting. So I had to back down because I just, couldn't stay in my body. I was getting so energetic. I was starting to, I got no words for it. And, it was telling me you got to balance or, problems are going to come. So I did. And I'm glad I did because balance is key here, always key. If you're running real strong on a detox and you run into that, you run into, some tough times, back off. There's no sin in backing off. Some people are so toxic from acids in their bodies and taking steroids and things from the medical doctors, locking it all in their bodies, that they're ready to explode. This is tough. If you've been on steroids, they've done you the biggest injustice they could do. When you start to examine the techniques and the concepts of allopathy, it's extremely disturbing. It's extremely idiocy. And giving steroids, it's one thing in a stat situation, in an emergency room situation, to give a steroid to back down inflammation, especially in a spinal cord issue or anything in the brain issue, obviously. But when you're taking it to treat something outside of an emergency or stat situation, you're wrecking your adrenals and everything, and of course chemical steroids just lock everything in the house. And that's why on prednisone and things like this, you have to titrate after so long on them, because things will just explode. Your skin will explode open. Everything will explode. Crazy. So you guys have to be real careful how you proceed. Your body's it's like horses at a gate ready for the race. And sometimes when you go, everything, your skin explodes, everything explodes. Okay. You keep working it out. You keep working it out. You keep working it out. If you go, oh my God, I'm going to stop it. These are the frail. And I recommend to all of you guys out there lose the frailness, because we're entering a time here in creation that frailness will be chewed up and spit out like it was candy. You need to grab your strength for what's coming. That's all I got to tell you. This planet's got some things coming to it, and you got to be real strong coming. That's why a lot of you guys are all spiritual guys, and why we're here infusing this planet with love and energy, and the proper understanding of how you're supposed to friggin' eat as a species. Amazing. So become strong, guys. Become strong. Open up your hearts. Join us. We become one. We become strong. We change the nature of this planet. Instead of cutting off heads and shooting people, we give them big hugs and kisses. Of course, I don't think this level is ready for that, of course. But there are many souls that are. And many souls, it's their time to leave this planet. So it's time. This is, remember, the ending of cycles. And in that, a lot of souls are ready to go into far greater journeys. They just need a hand. They need someone to tap them on the shoulder and say, remember who you are? Remember who you really are. And that's what you guys are here. And the diet is going in the back door, because as you remove the obstructions in the human body, it begins to pull the obstructions out of the etheric bodies, the astral, the causal, the mental bodies. And as you remove these obstructions, you'll start to see. It's like those that are going through astral or emotional detoxing. You start crying, but you're eliminating your obstructions to the flow of energy through your emotional body. Pretty soon you start getting happy, you start getting joyful. And then the mind comes. And then the last thing that comes that rips you is your ego. That's the last step to becoming total. Lose the individuality to gain the individuality, because there's only the one. That alone exists. There's no two gods, there's no mommy god, daddy god, only the one exists. And that means only you exist and only I exist in that way. Interesting things if you observe and you are looking at the God worlds and how they were put together and why and everything. Just amazing stuff. It's just so much to learn and grow and have fun. We're at the ass end of the universe here. And a lot of souls are ready to go on and enjoy higher things. And so, by gosh, let's turn on the light. All right, this is from Paul. Paul, hi, Doc. Repost from 5 weeks ago. Sorry, man. I am so sorry. But again, I have to tell you, if you're suffering, guys, please, got to call the club. You can't wait till I do videos, because now everything's opened up. We're going to do a lot more videos. And, a lot of things have passed that we've had to deal with here. And quite a lot of things going on. Can you please comment on your experience or opinion about deathbed visions of a person who are near death? Yeah, absolutely. Heck yeah. Had a lot of them. Through the years, we've had, I won't say a lot. I will say in my 50 years, or close to that, I would say that we haven't had too many people that we couldn't save. That's a pretty good, you have to admit, that's a damn good record. There's been those that we haven't been able to save, but they're not a lot. The list is short, and that's amazing. For those that we couldn't, my God, we'd be standing there and they'd say, I see my spiritual guide here. And it just, I can't even tell you, chokes me up. Beautiful experiences. Not a cold hospital. Not where in one room you hear people laughing, in the other room someone's dying, in the other room someone's crying. No. You're at home in peace and love. You're out of pain. And you're not on morphine to take you out where you don't know who you are. I mean, it's just a total different way of leaving this planet. And I've always said, if you do everything right, then it's just a matter of time. And your body will regenerate itself. If you can't regenerate itself, then it's your time. But you're just stepping from one field of action into another. You're going from one drama to another as you would change your TV set. Except you want the highest channel you can get. But the way you have it, because you're just beginning to see, because those that are passing are letting go of this world. It's a clue and a key of how you have out-of-body experiences, by the way. You have to let go. The only thing that keeps you here is your attention. It's the only thing that keeps you here, in the silver cord. You've heard a lot about that, but you can see it. And that's the only thing that keeps you here. Once that's cut, once that's done, that energetic cord's cut, you're done. Your body's done, it's done. But a lot of souls hang around. There's a lot of people in comas that you could get out of comas. A lot of souls are hanging around and just waiting for that body to regenerate, and it never does, because no one knows how to regenerate the human body. Isn't that amazing? You got a medical establishment that's so out of control. I mean, I had a neighbor, just had something stuck in her throat, just went to the hospital, they pulled it out and charged her $60,000. They're the problem. Not part of the remedy, they're part of the problem. You can't charge like that. So no one's holding anybody accountable. So they're ripping. That's extortion and racketeering as far as I'm concerned. Oh, but that's a beloved medical community. They wouldn't do anything like that, would they? That's all that modality does. So you got to be real careful in your belief systems and what you believe and what you hold on to, because some things you hold on to can burn back real bad. Visions are usually of loved ones who have passed on, or religious figures or angels, etc. Yeah, or your guide or your master comes if you have one. Or you just go on to them. Either way. They don't always come. You're taken out and you have an out-of-body experience because you left your body. Now you're in another body. Most people go into their astral body for about 3 days and then pull right back. But we're trying to break that for those souls that are time to go on and not reincarnate. We want to break that so where they go on and start experiencing their next drama. And that's just working out all the karma. And that's how this is a beautiful way to do it. All I can tell you. You work out all your karma, your physical karma, your emotional karma, your mental karma can be all worked out, and you're done. You're free. You can go on and start having some fun there. I've been reading stories shared by hospice nurses. Oh yeah, it's amazing. I tell you what, you're right on, Paul. You're right on the beauty of all of this, because there's so much love and things that people don't see out there. And this world right now, being in its negative cycles, lacks a lot of that. But there's still a lot of that. Descended masters are all around. Yeah. Oh, he read stories shared by nurses, hospice nurses, that gave me goosebumps. No kidding. Oh, I'm telling you. I've talked to a lot of people that had near-death experiences from, open heart surgeries and stuff like that. It's just cool stuff. But when you can learn to consciously move your attention out of the physical and put it in another body, which is just looking at another place, that's when you start to really have the fun. You don't want to have something to shake you out. You want to be able to step out. I've been reading stories. Okay, it makes me cry too. Oh yeah, I'll tell you, you can't be a good healer and not cry a little bit. Come on, you're not supposed to be emotionally involved, but how can you not be? It's one of the bodies you have, and then when you see suffering, that's not. That's not good. I hate to see anything suffer. Death is just a doorway, but suffering, that's a whole other thing. I recently lost my wife, oh man, to the treatment of lung cancer, oh man. And I feel that she may have experienced this. Oh, I bet she did. This is cool stuff. And did you leave yourself open to communicate? Because generally they hang around. These souls hang around and tap you on the shoulder and maybe say a few things to you goodbye. Sometimes they're pulled right out. They don't have the time to do them. Pulled right out. Others hang around a little bit. It's interesting. Boy, that's something else. I've read that these visitations can occur months or weeks, of course, days and hours from actual death. Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And a lot of times the soul is being prepared and doesn't even know it. Consciously, physically, consciously, because their attention's so outwardly focused. They don't see what's going on their inner bodies and stuff like that. It's like you guys always try to be conscious in your dreaming. Try to become the conscious dreamer. When you become the conscious dreamer, then your dreams are no more dreamlike. They're vivid. They're actual experiences, and you start to wake up to that instead of just burning off karma and stuff like that in these areas. Sorry about your wife, man. The medical doctors attribute this to the dying brain. Yeah, a lovely medical modality. As the synapses shut down, that this and this and this. They're so full of crap. It's unbelievable. This is what's scary. Is it's such a lack of spirituality. Now I have a lot of medical doctors that are very spiritual, so I want to get that out of the way. That's for sure. But their brother, and there's so many medical doctors just flat unspiritual. It's not even there. In fact, there's an oncologist. Don't ever call yourself spiritual and give chemotherapy. And I've said this before. You see a female oncologist. I've never seen that many cold women. When you see a cold woman, that's scary. Those guys are the ones that shows us the love. I don't care what they say to you. We don't care what they think, do we? No. And once you realize that they're way back in the back, you don't care at all what they think. Because who are they? You know what I'm saying? What matters is you and your experiences and your loved one and their experiences. We're all one here. And if those people choose to ostracize themselves and get into radical behaviors and treatment things and stuff, okay, but leave us out of it. I know it happens. Oh, it definitely happens. Oh, there's no question, because the clients that we couldn't save, they're not on narcotics. They're not on hospices and things like this, although we pulled a lot of people out of hospice before. But they have some incredible experiences. And I've seen spiritual beings in the room with them before. I had this one guy, and he thought he saw Jesus coming for him, but the room had spiritual beings all around it. And it was like, my God, he was so peaceful. And I saw him, and off he went. That's so cool. The same thing will happen to you and me. We're going to be checking out and taking off. Well, don't we want to be fully conscious and know all we can while we can do that, so we can have some power and decision in our journeys instead of just being taken from one to another to another? Absolutely. Absolutely. I know what happened, but I'm not sure from what side of the force it comes from. Well, that's a positive side. And it doesn't matter, both sides belong to the same being. But, no, you're right on. Let me see, I give that back. These are all positive things. Positive things. Now, I suppose if you've heard a lot of people, you've been real negative, you could also have your spiritual guide say, well, where you're going isn't too cool this time. I've been taken to different places to be shown some of these places, and I think I mentioned this one time. I was taken to an astral, I think it was an astral prison. I felt it was in the astral world anyway. But the fear, I can't even tell you. I can't even tell you. It was deep within my beingness. And it was a fear of loss of all freedom, a loss of all consciousness. And it was some type of prison. And I'm thinking to myself, my God, and I was put into that, and the fear, and then I was pulled right out. And I got to realize that, if you're a real bad boy, there could be some places that you have to burn off this karma that might not be too good. And it scared the holy crap out of me. I just realized how powerful things were outside of myself. And it was like, whoa. So I don't know, guys. I think you keep life fun, you keep life beautiful, you always go for your health, you keep watching at your door, you don't let negative things in, stuff like that. The negative is part of the world. We only put the negative because it's a negative experience in our feeling. But you go back and look at all your negative experiences, that's what homed you. That's what taught you, was your negative experiences. So what you thought was bad actually was good. So that's why I don't judge anymore. It is what it is. An experience is an experience. I don't label it, because who am I to label an experience? Because it could have been the very thing I needed, and I considered it a bad experience. It matured me. And it's unfortunately, it has to do that to itself to develop itself. Interesting. But if you look at the way life is and how we train babies and all this stuff, I think everything's reflective. As God individualizes itself, it's like a baby. And it has to mature that individualization into becoming a conscious dreamer. And when you think about it, I could go on forever. And that could create immense dreamers. Mine can't even wrap around something like that. So sorry it took so long, Paul. I'll tell you, I'm sorry about your wife. I find it sad, but we come here and we have certain journeys we're on, and of course, your wife knew she was going to pass. She knew this was going to happen. This is all going to happen. She might not have known this consciously. But I know how souls come in here and what they know when they come in here and things like this, and I'll tell you, you already know what you're going into. So she already knew she was going through all this on an unconscious level. And it's just the way it is. And you might have known too, just didn't come to the conscious mind, These are deep inner things. We call them intuitions, intuitiveness, but that's just your awareness deeper within you. You see more, you know more, because you're not having your conscious mind occupy your attention so much. So you're able to see more when you're not focused more. Just like those paintings we talked about. When you unfocus, you can see what those little dots are into, what kind of figure they designed for you. Natasha. I am resending this email below. I sent it at the end of January. Oh, sorry, Natasha, honey. 6-month-old with polycystic kidney disease, and her dad had kidney cancer. Well, so I've said this, we have overlooked the kidneys for millennium, and you can't overlook them anymore. And you guys are the group that's going to bring the light to the reality here, to the kidneys. And of course, the kidneys are the main eliminative organs of the gigantic lymphatic system. And your gigantic lymph system is your sewer system, your immune system, and your lipid transport system, all three wrapped in one. And we probably could find a whole list of things that system does. So it's a neglected system, except for the You know, the medical doctors we were telling you about, the International Society of Lymphologists, I suppose. I talked to Samuel West's son, good, nice, a good dude. He started the Clarity University. I like the word clarity. And so, you know, these people believe, of course, that the lymphatic system deals with blood proteins. And I've said this before, very little conversation is held on cellular acids, cellular proteins and wastes. And this has to be in any conversation. When you're designing an automobile, you have to design a fuel system, but you also have to design an exhaust system. Yeah, when you think about the human body, you think about the fuels, but you also have to think about elimination. And there's two types of elimination, basically. There's digestive waste elimination, that comes out of the GI tract, and then you have cellular elimination. You have cellular wastes of 100 trillion little people in your body that make up your body. They got to live and eliminate waste. So it's just a real overlooked, neglected system, yet that's a system everything's involved in. I will say this. I'm glad to see that there are top medical doctors in the world that believe the lymph system is the cause of man's diseases. Now, that's their lingo, and that's okay. You know, they can still play in the world of diseases. We know there's no such thing. We know that everything is simply cause and effect. Chemistry exists, physics exists, and it's cause and effect. Different minerals, different things causes different things. Different chemistry broken down and combined. Arsenic causes a different experience than calcium. Different levels have different experiences. Put together and packaged in a nice way, then it has different experiences. Cook and redesign that chemistry and it has different experiences. See what I'm saying? If you want to align yourself with the Creator and get your body aligned with that, knowing that that's going to be the healthiest place you could be, then you have to align yourself with the living. You have to align yourself with the raw, and I can tell you your diet should be at least 50 to 75% fruits, berries, and melons. If you got to have some salads, okay. I have salads, and I have my guacs and stuff like that, of course. But don't make that your central food, because you won't detoxify that well. And detoxification can be a slow or a fast process. It doesn't matter. But it's simply your body's healing and cleaning itself. Or I should say in proper order, cleaning and then healing itself. You got to allow that to happen. That's just a natural phenomenon of everything. I mean, look at what they're doing with the diesels, with the, what is it, the EDD or whatever that is. So I had to get it from my Ford. It's a diesel cleansing. It cleans the filter and all that. So, you know, this are all these sort of things. Thank you. All right, Natasha. Thank you so much for all you do. Your videos are such an incredible source of information. Thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate that. I really do. I hope to make them even more so. And with the help of you guys, it's real exciting. I am writing you today about some friends of mine. They have a 6-month-old girl who was recently diagnosed with polycystic kidney disease. 6 months old. But you see that, and this is a good example because the adult form, though, that isn't likely to, let me see, that, what? Diagnosed with polycystic kidney disease. The adult form, although, that isn't likely to be an apparent problem till she is older. You hear that? Hear what you're saying. And I know you're just echoing the medical thinking. You see that tumor? It's not very pretty, is it? That was a breast. That was one of those, oh, it's a little tumor, let's just watch it. You don't watch nothing. The adult and the young. I mean, look at the medical thinking. These guys are so bizarre. Every day it just becomes more bizarre. Genetics are a fact. Cell consciousness, it all comes out of the causal worlds. It's all genetically imprinted. And so everything is genetics. But good looks spiritually will help you to understand genetics even more because we're talking about consciousness in the allness of the thing. But then as we find that broken down, we find the cell. But it's all consciousness. So in changing that energetic form of consciousness, you change that by chemistry and physics. And so you start regenerating that cell. Hard to explain because I don't understand it all either. Just enough that you've got multiple bodies involved with this. It isn't just a physical thing. Cells have multiple bodies too. Nothing can be at this world without other bodies first. You cannot get a physical body, sorry phone, without a mind. You can't be soul, physical body, and no mind and emotions. Can't happen. This is you coming right down through and taking on these bodies to get to this physical world, to take on this body. And all things have to. You just can't be God and physical. Man, no way. And some of you have already found that out. Yas over in Thailand, you finding that out, are you? Energy is so powerful, you can almost have to back away. Last time I talked to Yas, it was, I'm beginning to see exactly what you're talking about. How do I get rid of this energy? So that's what I'm saying, balance. And sometimes it'll take you off your good diet sometimes just to bring balance to your world. And that's not a bad thing in the sense that you will develop a more higher sense of balance as life goes on. Don't beat yourselves up. The most important part of this whole thing is you and your awareness. Outside of that, getting your bodies healthy so you can have the highest experience possible would be something I would think would be a natural thought. But there's others that enjoy the experience of this world. Okay, go ahead, have fun with it. You can be very aware and play with this world. And that's the best way to play with this world, is having awareness that you're not creating anything, you're just playing. You're not registering, you're not allowing anything, you're just playing. If you go back to that movie, Michael, with John Travolta, you'll see that in there. You'll see that freedom of awareness that allows you to play, and who cares? And it's just such a joy to be at that level and not be trapped in the grind of the physical world. So, the fact that she has the adult type, throw that crap and thinking out of the world. What's going to happen? What's been happening since the get-go in the mother is this little girl. His lymph system has been backing up, not only in her whole body, but in her kidneys. That's where the polycystic type of situation is. I don't care whether it's cysts, whether it's tumors, it doesn't matter. All starting from the same thing. You're losing filtration. Well, why wouldn't she? Again, we are working on so much genetic problems. This is what I was telling you guys. You guys are the saviors. You guys are the saviors of these kids, because medical doctors, they're way out of their field. They have no clue. They don't know how to fix anything like that. And so you want to wait till that happens? You're going to lose your children. You guys are the answers. And you just have to realize that. You got to get into this girl. What kind of diet would you put this girl on? She's 6 months old. Fruit. She needs to be on fruit right now. She's 6 months old. And I'd move that. If she's on any type of milks and things like that, You want to go to at least coconut milks and water. And you want to go to the fruits, the grape juices, the apple juices. By now, you're probably playing with some apple sauces, things like this. But you want to save this little girl, because this is cancer coming big time. I mean, this is lymphoma. This is the lymph system. The kidneys are the lymph system, guys. So, what are you going to do? You're going to give this girl some herbs for the kidneys? So I would give, if it was me and my little girl, I'm going to give this girl lymphatic 1 liquid. I'm going to give this little girl at least 1 kidney for her. She's only 6 months old. But I'm on her weight, I'm only going to give her 6, 7 drops, maybe at the most, maybe back to 4. I'll give her a little more kidney drops than I would lymphatic drops. I might give her, say, 3 or 2 drops of lymphatic 1, and then I'll give her maybe 5 drops of kidney. At the same time, I think endocrine gland would be very, very appropriate, because her adrenals are going to be down with the kidneys being down. Who knows what else is down? Pituitaries, you see all that out there now. So a few, maybe 5 drops of endocrine gland. So now you've got a little bit of lymphatic, which is going to address the tumor in the lymph system. You got the kidney, which is the doorway, and you got the adrenal, which controls the doorway, and the other organs and the other glands. So just those 3 formulas is pretty good. Just if you just started with those 3 formulas, and at the same time you change that diet, because if you don't get her off the milks, she'll lose them. She'll have tumors on them. And of course, you know how they deal with tumors. We'll just cut them out, which is understandable. If you don't know what causes something, and I can understand them cutting it out to help you. But you guys know better. You guys are much smarter. And this is the time to get this little girl. You don't wait. She'll be okay until she becomes an adult. Oh, really? That kind of thinking is ridiculous. That kind of thinking leads you to death and leads you to bad roads. And then the years, as the years pile on to this child, tumors form inside of her. I've had so many kids with so many tumors. Some kids form tumors constantly, up and down, forming tumors. So you want to get this little girl now. Say in her 30s, perhaps the doctors say. The only reason why she has been diagnosed so young is because ultrasounds was done due to the fact that her kidneys were echogenic in the womb. Look at that. Well, I'm glad at least they picked up on that, because this will be very, very helpful to the parents if the parents are willing to understand that this is a central focus. You've got to take care of this little girl now. You don't wait till she gets older. No, because she'll have a lot of tumors in her. When you got cysts and stuff already, oh my God. In addition, her dad, 38 years old, get this. In addition, her dad, 38 years old, was just diagnosed with kidney cancer. It sounds like the dad and the little girl need to go on a raw food diet, doesn't it? Sounds like the dad and the little girl need to go on a fruit diet for a while. That's what that sounds like. And get that kidney regenerated, because the dad he's only 38 years old, and I wouldn't remove it. I would regenerate it. You need that kidney. With a tumor in one kidney, and is scheduled to have that kidney removed next week. Well, it's like hyperthyroidism. You just cut the thyroid out, got a tumor in there, just cut it out. No radiation or chemo are planned. Well, still, you got a young lad, 38 years old, without a kidney, which is vital to the elimination of sewage from cells. And so you're going to compromise this young man one way or another. So you only have one kidney, and the chances are that kidney's not filtering very well either. And so now the dad's highly compromised. I mean, it's idiocy. At least try to get the tumor out first. I'll try to get this video up for you tomorrow, maybe this afternoon. But I don't have a phone number, or I'd call you. Because it just depends. Doctor has said there is a 95% chance this will cure the disease, but if he waits, it could spread. Jesus. It's a disease! Kill it if we take it now! Well, you hear that? That kind of thinking is antiquated, dark agey, and bullcrap. You have the power to get rid of that tumor. You have the power to form it. It's that simple. You have the power to undo what you have the power to do. You're the driver of your own car, supposedly, but we bump. This is bumper car down here. We bump from medical doctors' advices. We bump from naturopathic devices. We bump. One has to stand and start getting truth and how it rings. They have watched several of your foundational type videos discussing the lymph system, thank God, and body in general, plus the cancer one. His wife is looking at the whole family, possibly doing a fruit detox after the surgery. Thank you. At least do that after the surgery, but I do it before the surgery, maybe not have surgery. That's only 1 week away, but why can't you just say, hey, why don't we do this a month from now? Let me just do something. And then go after this. If you get the tumor out in a month, you got it. You can always have your kidney removed in a month. What's a month? Spread. It's already spread. This isn't disease consciously spreading through you. That's his problem. This is your lymph system, and yes, it's backing up all through you. Yes, and removing the kidney doesn't stop that. It actually can make it worse. And that's the lymphoma side. That's the acidosis that destroys the people, the cells. So I'd rethink it. They also have a 4-year-old girl. Oh, poor guy. See, this is why you guys are vital in passing this out to the world. Hold your hand out to the world with love and dignity, and stand forthright as a God person, in helping life rearrange itself here. And man, the experiences will be incredible. They also have a 4-year-old girl. The 6-month-old is still breastfeeding. Baby seems to be doing great with breast milk and has just started to eat some fruits and veggies. Nick say the veggies, stay the fruits, berries, and some melons. I would say the mom needs to be all raw if you're going to keep breastfeeding. And mommy could do some coconut water or milk. Also pound some superfood blends, and you really do have to keep your diet alkaline so your milk moves to be alkaline. Check your milk, your mother's milk, with a pH paper. The family has recently cut out meat and dairy as well. Thank you. Thank you. That's the core issue. That's the core reason you have kidney problems is meat and milk. Meat and milk is the core reason humans have 99% of their problems. Of course, having starches, grains, and all the other billy goat food is not good either. What would you suggest for the family in terms of protocol? Would the 14-week protocol be necessary? I'd say for the mom and for the father at least. The father really needs to jump into this. If it's me and I'm facing, I find out I have a chance to get rid of this tumor and I get to save my kidneys, and because knowing the surgery has a long list of complications, not only adhesions, just a world of problems, I'm going to try that. If I don't try that, that shows I'm just not awake enough, that I'm still being controlled by the powers that be. But when I'm awake enough, I'm going to say, you know what? I can do this myself. I know why I have it, and now I know how to get rid of it. That's a big deal, because you know more than the medical doctors. They don't know what causes it, and they don't know how to get rid of it except cut out the tissue. Okay. We don't need that dark agey thinking anymore. It's time to wake up to this is reality. This is what causes it, and start eliminating that. We're at that point. Can't continue to still be dark agey. They live in Canada. Canada. Well, I would suggest the young man hit it hard. Go on the 14-week protocol, but have maybe Gin B or Marcy, or I'll help him. I take on the cancer people, so I'll be happy to help him. But I suggest heavily that you push that surgery off a little bit and hit it yourself and get that tumor out. That's what I would do. My friend is also concerned that fruit wouldn't provide enough for the growing kids like fats. Can you touch on that? Well, we're going to put up there on our website the fat, protein to sugar or carbohydrate of mother's milk, of cow's milk, of almond milk, and all this other thing. It is true that coconut milk doesn't have the fat you think it does. But I would be giving some coconut milk in there, because this is a point where too much lipids are too much lipids. And then too much lipids can be mucus forming as well. So I think the natural tendency toward, at least if you're breastfeeding as a female, you want to make sure your diet is all raw, and that you're a raw foodist, and that you've detoxified yourself so your milk is as pure and alkaline as possible. And it comes out of because realize that the Homo sapien is a frugivorous species. So go to the primates a minute. How does a female primate get their milk? Through what type of food source? Well, getting away from those primates that are stuck in places where they have to be a little more omnivorish, let's go to the orangutan for a minute. That's almost exclusively a frugivore. How does that mother produce its milk and become the strongest animals on the planet, and yet produce good enough milk and grow big babies out of eating fruit? When you can answer that one, you'll answer that question you ask me. You see what I'm saying? We just have some of these ideas because things have been infused into our consciousness. It's not always true. More's better, heavy nutrition's better. We need to have all kinds of nutrition going down us and stuff like that. Look at the average animal and how much they really eat and how often they eat and stuff like that. How long would you detox the baby for? Until those kidneys are done, until those kidneys are regenerated, to be honest with you. Obviously, they can't check her urine to see if she's filtering or not. Well, but you can have an ultrasound done on the kidneys in about 4 months. Guessing that she would continue with breastfeeding during the detox. You know what? This little girl's in deep trouble. And I'm not so sure. I don't know where I align myself with that. This little girl needs to be almost all fruits, berries, and melons at this point. Applesauces, maybe some coconut waters and milks and stuff like that. Because this is her lymph system. And I'll give you an insight to what you just asked me. Go back to how your lipids are absorbed. When you have fatty acids in your foods, how are they absorbed? Well, the bulk of your nutrition absorbed in the small bowel, right? So it absorbs through the wall of the small bowel and goes in, which is called the villi. We got ringed villi bowels. And so that absorption goes through there into where? The lymphatic capillaries, not the blood capillaries, the lymphatic capillaries. Remember, I don't know if I showed you on this, but we showed the school, and we have that old pro chart that shows you the ductwork from the small bowel to the liver for fatty acids. So it's vital. Get any medical dictionary and it'll have it in there for you. You can read it in any medical dictionary. They just assume the fatty acids does the acid trip. It comes in and up here in the inferior vena cava. Oh, so the body absorbs fatty acids, bypasses the liver, and brings them all the way up to the heart area. Come on. But that's the sort of consciousness that's out there right now. So we're still dark agey in some respects, right? So my point to that was, when the kidneys stop filtering, then the lymph system backs up, right? Because that's what they control. Well, that means the lymph system in the bowel wall is going to back up too, right? That's the lymph system everywhere. And that's where you get into malabsorption. Absolutely. So when you're seeing this little girl has some degree of malabsorption already, you can take that to the bank. So if she can't absorb her fatty acids, how does she get her fatty acids? So you have to realize that detox is vital for all kinds of reasons, and that is to get better absorption of fatty acids as well. See where I'm going with that? Mm-hmm. Because yes, the perfect thing is to have her have the perfect food. The perfect food for babies is mother's milk when the mothers are healthy. When the mothers have detox and the mothers, because in nature the mothers are already fairly healthy. So their milks are born out of their food sources. We're humans. The mind keeps pulling you over to cows or over to other things. We're going to show you the difference between cow's milk and human milk. Startling. But look at the size difference, and if it's a different species. You can't compare the human to all these other species that they don't belong to. We only look like one species, guys. Come on. And how come is it that when we put people on fruits and berries and melons, they all get well? Yes, some of you fight that. I understand that. But it's your body and where you've taken yourself that you're fighting. You get that all cleaned up and you'll be amazed, But I'm not saying that we can all be frugivores. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it'd be ideal. Then it'd be like a heaven on earth, but that's not meant to be. There already is a heavens. There's many heavens. So, remember Jesus said, my Father's mansion has many rooms. There's many levels. There's infinite levels and dimensions and frequencies. There's plants and stuff on different frequencies. You can't even see them. You've got people walking around at different frequencies, right? You're just talking about that, Paul, about visitors, different frequencies. And sometimes if you're able to, you can see the astral frequency. Just depends. Cool stuff. All kinds of stuff. The worlds are immense. Fun stuff. Fun stuff. Let me see. I'm guessing that she would continue breastfeeding. Okay. Also, will you please discuss the safety and dosages of giving herbs to a 6-month-old and a 4-year-old? What about glandulars? Well, glandulars are just meat, but with a punch. They're electrical. They've already been proven to go to the tissues that you're taking. Like tissue goes to like tissue, which is quite interesting. So I don't know. I don't really give too many glandulars to children, not because it'll hurt them. It's just because I don't see a need, really. If you had some child like her, you don't know what her adrenal glands are like. If her kidneys are cystic, her adrenals aren't working too well either. That can be very serious because now you're into her autonomic nervous system and you're into all her steroids. Now you're into mineral utilization, you're into sugar metabolisms, you're into all levels. You're into the gonadal steroids and stuff. I mean, you're into all kinds of things. When the adrenals are down, and so that's what this girl's facing. So I would use the endocrine gland, just like I said. I would use the herbs and the berries. The endocrine gland form is mostly berries. I mean, that's berries with a punch. But that's the sort of thing you got to do. These are little humans, and they have the same bodies. And they're all genetics, and we need to get them while they're young. And then that growth changes and works those weaknesses right out of them. The kids are the ones to work on. It takes a lot longer for adults in some ways than children. They can grow out of this quicker, especially when you're feeding the essence of vitality and health, which is your fruits and your berries and your melons. If you want some vegetable greens, okay, but they're really not people food. And I wouldn't give vegetables to babies. And they're not mature enough. I I don't see that. I think you need to keep the digestive system easy, and I think the key thing in babies is the neurological systems. Key. That determines a lot of things. Your brain and your autonomic, that's everything. And of course, fruits are the brain and nerve foods on the planet. And this is why you see, I think, that we are frugivorous species. Look what we invent. The primates invent tools, but look what we did. You see, in terms of the human consciousness. I'm not talking about soul and, God consciousness and all that. I'm talking about the human state, which is divided up into innumerable states. How long should the rest of the family detox for? You know what? To me, detoxification isn't just a focused activity. Detoxification is part of a broader experience of living healthily, because your body goes through phases of detox constantly, whether you're consciously trying to or not. It's just the way it is. You feel cycles in the day where some days you wake up and you're just not with it. You're just not with it. The body's going through all kinds of changes. Your body naturally has cycles and rhythms of detox and regeneration and things like that, especially when you give it the foods to do it with. The body, most human bodies are in the defensive mode now because you're giving fuels that are foreign to it. So now most people have created highly acidic mucus, bodies full of mucus and everything else, and tumors and cysts. And so your body's not used to foods that regenerate it, because very few people eat living foods. And when they do, it's just a little piece here and a little piece, and generally it's on top of all the other stuff they ate. I'll have a little fruit on top of my meat and potatoes and everything else for dessert. I see this all the time. They go to these salad bars or these things and they eat all the stuff, and then they go and have dessert. Then they go and have their melons and stuff on top of all that food. And I'm going, oh my God, I hope you don't, I don't want to be around your house. Gas, bloaty, everything else. We're so far away from the reality of health, and you guys are the closest. And you just have to, work this world back into some state of awareness here. But if you're detoxifying consciously, and this is the focused activity, then you want to do it until you use your eyes and to see the changes, or to at least your symptomology, till you feel your symptoms are totally gone, and that you can eat a piece of dead animal, or you can eat something really bad, a piece of cake, and your blood sugars don't move much, and everything doesn't move much. Test it. Test it on the job. And test yourself. But dig in until your symptoms are totally gone. If you're using your eyes, you'll see the regeneration there. And that's my opinion. If you burn out, man, back off, get yourself a breath of fresh air, and hit it again. This is to play with. But for those that are suffering and full of pain, this is a serious, focused activity. And you want to stay that way. You can back up now and then. It's not going to hurt you. You're not going to regress all the way back to where you were. But sometimes it's important to break the cycle of detox a little bit so everything just backs off a little bit. Because most humans are so toxic, so acidic, so dehydrated, so full of dehydrated mucus. It takes a while to hydrate and get everything moving and turned on again. By the time you're diagnosed with cancer, guys, you're extremely acidic. You're extremely dehydrated. And your cells are burning from the acids that they're producing, because those acids no longer can get outside of the cell. Plain and simple. Outside of the cell wall protects the cell, with HDL, phospholipids basically. So it's protected up to a point, but when the interstitial fluids start to dehydrate and dry up, everything becomes highly acidic around the cell, cells no longer can poop, like cellular constipation. That's when you get in deep trouble. That's when you're losing your cells. And you lose your cells, you lose your body, because your body's made of cells. Fluids only take care of the cells. Of course, you can always get another body. But you want to come back to this body, or get maybe a more refined body of another level? Or maybe you want to just go back home totally. In addition, have you ever seen organs regenerate? Quit it. Don't ask me that question. That's all we do. Do I see organs regenerate? That's all we do. That's all I'm into. It's the regeneration of the human body. That's what our focus is. Absolutely have I seen it for about 15 years. Oh, no, wait a minute. Have you ever seen organs regenerate? Do you think it is possible for a kidney could regenerate? Natasha, honey, that's what this website is about, is total regeneration of the human body. Hell yeah. And you. Dad was, in addition, wait a minute. Dad was consuming large amounts of whey protein for about 15 years. Yeah, really. I have a grandson that's mostly fruit. I've told you about him, little Carter. Mostly fruit. But his dad, my son, got into giving him some yogurt. So suddenly, guess what little Carter has? Mucus, cold and flu-like symptoms and everything. He's 3 and never had one because he never had mucus-forming foods. Now they snipped him mucus-forming foods, and I said, "Oh, you've been giving him some dairy products?" And my son looked at me and go, "A little yogurt?" I said, "Dairy products." He has just stopped taking this. Thank you. I have a lot of medical friends. They just can't. That's their focus. Whey protein. I have a good medical friend. He likes to make bars, nutritional bars, and he likes the whey protein. Get off of the friggin' protein. But it's Pottinger and it's all those kind of people like that are into these sort of high protein thinking and stuff, and they have no basis for facts to find that. Sorry. The basis for facts is quite the opposite. Can you please touch on bodybuilding without protein powders? He wasn't into building massive muscles, but would always take whey in conjunction with working out. Well, I've done so much about that, and about building bodybuilding, and of course we have several gentlemen that try out for Mr. Olympia, and we've discussed how you do this, and of course we've showed you Ian here, many times how you build muscle. So the question is, how does an elephant build the muscle that it has? And how many humans can take down an elephant? How much protein does a primate? Let's go to the gorillas. Even though they're mountain gorillas, let's go into the mountain gorillas for a minute. How much protein does a mountain gorilla get, and how many humans would it take to bring down a gorilla? You see what I'm saying? I mean, this concept of protein is idiocy. You don't want proteins, you want amino acids. Well, amino acids form all things. So all structures, especially in the food kingdom, are made of amino acids. So your body arranges amino acids as they need them. But you have a lot more in your body than muscle tissue. So this whole idea of proteins is way out of balance. And you don't want to get into proteins. You'll lose your calcium, you'll acidify your body, you'll fill your body full of mucus. These is what damages cells. Look at cancer cells, and what's all around a cancer cell? Proteins. It's like the cell is inundated with acids, and then here comes the lymph system with all the mucus to try to stop the protein. That's a cancer cell. You see the action right there. We'll put it up on our website. We're just so busy. I haven't had time to write you up a thing on that yet. But that's not how you build muscle. And I want you to remember these 4 things. And this is for everyone here, but these 4 things are essential. Digestion, absorption, utilization, and what's the last one? Elimination. It's just that we're having to go to the back end of the donkey, where everybody seems to live, to fix it first. We have to fix elimination to go back to improved digestion, absorption, and utilization, don't we? Because of the lack of proper elimination, now all our organs and glands are backed up with acids and mucus. So now what we have is suppression of the function of cells. We have malabsorption everywhere. We have poor digestion. The pancreas is down. The gallbladders are down. Excuse me. So we have all these things down. So we have poor digestion. The lymph system's then down in everybody almost. So absorption is fractional. So now we have what's left, elimination, and most people don't eliminate well, so what do you got? You got a time bomb ticking. And that's what you see. And then here comes medical doctors giving you steroids to really build the bomb. Whew. You see where we're going with all of this? You've got to understand your species, and you just got to eat properly. And the bad thing about this is that when you're malabsorbed, you're going to get thin. because you're malabsorbed. You're not getting thin because you're on fruit. You're getting malabsorbed. You're getting thin because you're malabsorbed. You're no longer hitting the body with high lipids and high proteins to artificially look good. Because during that artificially looking good, you've got acidosis and the destruction of tissue inside, to then you flip and go, oh, you're looking wrinkled. You're looking old. That's not the way you deal it. And we deal with bodybuilders worldwide. And that's the only way. Go to your vegetable. If you want to build muscles, I'm not opposed to green drinks and superfood blends. That's the only way to do it. But fix, and you shouldn't have to build muscles because they'll build themselves naturally. And they build according to activity and dietary habits. You've got to really, you want to really focus on your health first. Health first, and then you build. But if I buy a house and I buy let's say I buy a fix-me-upper. You see the roof, it's a little swaggy, there's a few shingles, I'll just replace a few shingles, and oh look, there's some holes in the drywall, I'll just patch them, and things like that. I'm not rebuilding and refixing structures or anything like that. I'm just trying to put prettiness around it. I'm going to paint it and just put some new things to make it look good and turn around and resell it and make some money. What you did was just put some shiny stuff on a house and turn it over and give that trouble to someone else. That's karma. But the problem with it is everybody's trying to make pretty on top of bad. Clean the bad, clean the acids out, clean the tumors out, get all this mucus out of you and rebuild the body, get good digestion, absorption, elimination, utilization, get all that fixed up. And then if you want to build. Then you can build good. And the building won't be an acid building because most bodybuilding is acid bodybuilding. Bye-bye kidneys. And this is the family, is this the kidney family I'm still on? This is the family you don't want to build proteins on. Is this the 38-year-old you're talking about that's building body with proteins? Well, you're about to lose a kidney from it? How much does that take to hit you that your diet is what's doing it to you? Man, people have to wake up. Medical doctors would rather tell you that's not true. They're like the snake handlers on the side. Hey, don't look over there. This is reality over here. Don't look at truth. We've got it over here. Death of a lot of beings have existed because of that thinking. Sorry about the long list of questions, and I'm hoping this can be a comprehensive video for them. I hope so too, Natasha. I really do, because that's a family that needs some help. And just a little proper guidance and take care of this young child, and you'll have a good family there. I hope Chris can get this up before he has his kidney removed. You got to understand there's another way. I have a question for you. I have been treating my dog for cancer for 3 years. Took her completely off of grains, and isn't that funny? And this is an omnivore. I thought grains were healthy for us. But even Purina is running away from grains. You know what I'm saying? What we thought and what our society built in us in terms of what we thought society thought was healthy was just individuals out there thinking things were healthy, and also special interests and farmers and things like this. But that's not where truth was, is it? And keep in mind, though, we migrated into these northern climates without the proper understanding that we're a tropical species. And if you think I'm wrong, National Geographic concurs with this thinking. We were initially a tropical species, and we migrated. I need some fresh navel orange juice. Thank you very much. This is about the last of the navel orange juice. But I probably planted 50 watermelon plants. I got Crimson Sweets, Jubilees. Ooh, I can't wait. If I can't buy them, I'm going to grow them. Somebody was telling me they're already enjoying watermelons in Georgia. Okay. Took her completely off grains and kibble. and onto a raw diet with meat and pulverized veggies. She gets tinctures that have burdock root and other things to boost her immune system and go after cancer cells. She is thriving. Now, I want to go back. Can I address this with you? And I don't mean to be negative at all about this, but I want to kind of turn this a little bit. She said, took her completely off of grains and kibble and onto a raw diet with meat and pulverized vegetables. Really good. Because dogs like veggies and stuff, and many dogs like fruits. And this whole idea, we went through this whole thing with dogs and grapes. A lot of my friends have dogs. And a lot of dogs eat grapes. They don't die from eating grapes. So I don't know where the hell that ever came from. Now, she gets tinctures that have burdock root and other things to boost her immune system. Let's stop right there. What? Okay, her immune system. I want you to think about it. If you want to boost your immune system, then what do you want to go after in the human body? Or the dog body? The canine body? What system are you going to go into? Because you have immune cells, but then you have a fluid-based system of the lymph system, you have a fluid-based system of the blood, and they have some of those immune cells in each of those systems. Which is the most comprehensive immune system of those two systems? Which one is the most comprehensive? You're right, the lymphatic system. You have a whole system designed as a sewer system, from the cell to the septic tanks, the lymph nodes, to the eliminative organs, the kidneys and skin. You have a whole system designed with that. That's a very complicated system. It's not really complicated, but for some it could be. But it just works like a house septic system, except there's the elimination outside of the human body. And that has to occur through eliminative organs. And you only have a few. You know, livers don't eliminate to the outside world. Pancreas doesn't eliminate to the outside world. So if I'm going to build the immune system, if I needed to build immune cells, if I did blood work on your dog, and I saw the immune cells were down, where would I go to enhance the immune cells? I'd go to bone marrow, I'd go to the thymus gland, and I might clean the spleen. But is that what and you can do those things, that would be great. By enhancing the thymus, that's where you're going to enhance the T cells. So that's where I would, if you're going to enhance the immune system of a dog, then I would go after the thymus gland. However, you're about cancer, and cancer is a damaged cell. And a damaged cell comes about when their own waste, their own byproducts, which are acids, are no longer dischargeable outside of the cell. Fluids are no longer flowing freely through the body. Well, it has to only be one fluid, because if blood doesn't flow, dead dog. So we only have one fluid not growing well. Well, why? And especially in your omnivores, and particularly in the canines, we know one, universally, they have kidney weaknesses. Universally, they don't have sweat glands out the skin, so they don't sweat out the skin. That's why you see them pop those little tumors all the time now and then. So a dog has only a few places to eliminate, front and back. So I would give them herbs for the lymphatic system, herbs for the kidneys, herbs for that dog's adrenal glands, at the very least. Because I'm not giving them, now burdock is for the lymph system as well, but not as much. But burdock's a good herb, but still, you want to address the kidneys and the lymphatic system. This is the system where the cancers are in. Your immune system, I don't know how to define that, because there are immune cells in the body, but a system, I'm not sure that we can call that a system, because you have your bone marrow, which matures B's into lymphocytes. You've got your leukocytes. You've got your B's that are turned to T's. So all your neutrophils, basophils are all born out of all of this. It is easier in your thinking if you just make healthy that which exists. Instead of, I want to boost this, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to boost the immune system so it'll go after the cancer. That's like saying this cancer is an entity and I need something to kill it. Your immune system goes after your own cells when they're damaged. So you're boosting a system that goes after its own system, its own body. That's your body's designed just perfectly for all that, and most bodies do just fine with that. It's the diets, and it's what we've done to these organs and glands and these tissues in our body, and it's how we've affected the pHs of our fluids that have caused all these problems. Life is nothing but variances of pH at one level of looking at it. At one level, a minor acid is very beneficial, like estrogen. At another level, at one level, it'll inspire fluids. At another level, it'll dehydrate fluids. All pHs have all variances and all different factors and all different influences. No one's ever taken the time to get heavily into that, but I don't know if the human mind has the ability to do that yet. I don't know. Just thoughts. So I just want to kind of change your thinking. You want to go after that dog's kidneys and lymphatic system and adrenal glands just like you would your own. And this is the big problem in canines. Same problem. And of course, they've been given grains like crazy and stuff like that. We fell into the grain theory. And I don't blame the Purina or any of these people. It's just the way it is. You know, we're on a planet that's very unconscious. We didn't set all this up. The divine has. So it's just the way it is. Lessons learned. Interesting, though. Very interesting that it takes itself through these hellish experiences. Enough to say, get on that dog's kidneys, adrenals, and lymphatic system, and you'll pull that cancer right out. If you keep playing with the immune system, good luck. She is thriving. She did develop a big lipoma, which I believe was holding toxins. Possible, but that's what I'm saying. That's kind of what they do. I don't know if it was a lipoma, but that's what they do. Benign sort of things, you know, gross. But it's storage pockets. You're right on with that. Storage pockets. Wow. But again, you know, each creature had to be designed somewhat differently to handle the type of foods that they eat in the wild. We're talking about creatures we've created, domesticated, created, and things like that. So, you know, we've compromised the line in terms of lymphatics and kidneys and things like that. And that's what we have to regenerate in this genetic line. I believe holding toxins. Have to have that removed, but no chemo or radiation for us. You said dogs should not have high protein diets. But isn't that what wolves and dogs should eat? But yeah, but look at the longevity and the nature of these animals. We have taken the wolf through all this millennium and changed the whole nature of the situation. Now we have loving animals that are peaceful and loving. You can make wolf dogs that way, but they've got the wild in them. We've genetically engineered, basically, that out of these animals. These are almost next to human. Anybody had a golden retriever? They talk to you with their eyes. Most animals do. I mean, they're conscious little beings, and we bred them totally differently. So you can't compare them to a wild wolf or a hyena or something like that. You just can't compare them to that anymore. It's a different world. They don't have the same makeup anymore, the same mentality, the same level of everything anymore. So it's a whole different thinking. But if you have a wild dog go bad, you don't do the same thing with them you would. But they know, and I just don't know what to say about all that. Certain animals are designed to handle X amount of proteins, but, I mean, take a look at the carnivores. Even the carnivores can't have too much protein. Cats can't have too much protein. They're not long-lived. They stink. Their crap stinks. They're not a healthy species. They have no endurance. They have sharp claws and teeth, but they don't have any endurance. I mean, just start looking at these Discovery channels about lions and the cat families and how low endurance and how much they sleep, 20 to 22 hours a day. So that's an example of what those kind of diets yield, as opposed to an active gorilla in the mountains. So I think you're mixing apples and oranges here. What should I feel? What should I feed her to keep her healing her? I try to get her anything she likes in terms of the fruits and in terms of the vegetables. Mine are on the meat side, and use the herbs then to deal with it. And I would do the kidney, the lymphatic, and an endocrine gland, or adrenal at least. I know you focus on it. No, it's not all humans. We do animals all the time here. We've done a boatload of dogs. In my life, I've done boatloads of dogs. I've done llamas for a medical doctor. I've done horses. I've done cows. I've done snakes. I've done hamsters. I've done all kinds of fun. So, Kathy, this is Kathy. Thanks, honey. No, please return to Shannon. Oops. No, but that's, we have fun with all of that, The herbs are the key, I think, when you deal with the animals. But if you look at the Hoxie, story of the Hoxie formula, you go back, he had racehorses, of course. He had a racehorse with a tumor in him, and he just let the racehorse out into the wild and observed the herbs that he was eating. I don't know what kind of consciousness, obviously driven from the higher levels. And he developed his famous Hoxie formula from that. The horse got rid of its own tumor through the consumption of herbs. This type of intuitiveness we need to get back because we've lost it. We've lost it for the mind. We've let mind dominate our consciousness. Our consciousness is us as soul. The mind is just a body we use to take that consciousness and allow us to define and isolate and separate and, play the creation game. So it's consciousness that's key, and your mind always steps in the way of that. I think I have time for a couple more. That'd be good. I owe you guys days of this. And thank God I'm now in a position where I can spend some days doing this. Thank you for allowing me to join your group. I'm not allowing anything. Chad, you're welcome. You're not. My friend Chad has gotten me on to Dr. Morse and his therapies. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was 12 years old. As my parents were going through a brutal divorce. Possibly emotional, neurological block. Good point, Chad. And it's possible. These blocks, mind over matter, basically. So your emotional, the astral body is more powerful than the physical by far. So absolutely, emotions are a very powerful force. Sad stuff that we have to go through these things, brutal divorces and stuff. When you don't get along with somebody, you don't get along with somebody. You just say, look, honey, we just can't get along anymore. We're just, we're not growing together. We need to go our own ways. Let me help you get set up, and we'll just go our own ways, and we'll help each other get set up and go on in with life. That's a spiritual way. Why do we fight each other? Because we don't get along anymore. We're just, a lot of humans are just playing in the low levels of emotions and stuff like that. You don't need to be. Respect your mate. You loved your loved one in the beginning, so respect him if you fall out of love or something like that. We don't need to beat each other up, especially men beating up women. Please. I have had many hypoglycemic seizures. Holy crap. You might be right. You know what, Chad? When you say that to me, you might be right, because it would take your adrenal glands to go into the hypoglycemic mode. And that adrenal gland, of course, has the neurotransmitters that turns on the beta cells. So you might be right there, and even though you might have more parasympathetic influence out of the cerebellum than maybe that, but still, you might be onto something here. And I'll say your adrenals are really, really down there, man. And this might be just the focus, and you might be right on with this neurological block. You remember that university found that a lot of type 1s are neurological type 1s. I thought that university, those guys should have won a Nobel Peace Prize. They give it to the wrong people. When you discover something that's really cool like that, knowing that we can get into the nervous system now and go after that, but I've been doing that for years. I've been adding brain and nerve. And you notice on your 14-week protocols, I put brain and nerve in there. This is why. I learned a long time ago that the neurological system is another reason why we have a lot of shutdown of tissues, and we need to go after that. So I just happened to add brain and nerve on all my, at least after the first 2, but generally after the first, say, 4, 5, 6 weeks. But it's just because the nervous system turns on everything. And I'm about turning on everything and to start cleaning and eliminating. Makes sense, doesn't it? And you can't forget what turns on everything, and that's the electrical department, and that is your adrenal glands, that's your hypothalamus, your central nervous system, that's your autonomic, that's your electrical department. So that's interesting to me. So I would definitely want to go on a 400 milligram adrenal glandular. That I think will help you out of the hypoglycemic seizures. At the same time, I'd be doing brain and nerve number 2, popping that one, and I'd probably be doing, if I have the money, I'd probably be doing the antispasmodic just to keep from having seizures. But again, when your blood sugar drops so low like that, look at this. He had hypoglycemic seizures, and it ultimately cost me a roster spot in the NFL. Damn! I wish I could have fixed you before that. Man! Well, let's see what we can do. I have always been very athletic, but my diabetes has caused me to have countless nighttime seizures. Damn! Well, you know what? Let's get you out of that, man. Let's get you out of that. You know? Let's get those kidneys filtered and get those adrenals up. I mean, the same thing. You're going after the same thing because seizures always happens under acidosis, inflammation. And the weakness, when you have a neurological weakness and you have acidosis building, you've got seizures. Because a lot of things are involved. Low calcium, there's just so many things that are affected. And you always seem to find the adrenals involved because you see low calcium, low manganese, low magnesiums. Those things are adrenal steroids. So you're as much after the gland that also enhances these things, involved in mineral utilizations, involved in neurotransmitters and stuff, so you're always going to be after your adrenal glands. You want to get up into the CNS, the central nervous system, and the cerebellum as well, So upper circulation would be very advisable. Matter of fact, if you didn't have tumors, I would say upper and lower circulation would be very advisable because you're going to shove blood into the adrenal glands more aggressively and into the kidneys. And for you guys that are not filtering well, might be something to think about if you don't have tumors. Use the lower circulation formula. My fear with tumors is that this is interstitial. So you've got a blood flow. And my fear is increasing the size of a tumor through increasing blood flow. So that's the only reason. That's the thing. It might be wrong thinking, but I'm a cautionary kind of guy. As aggressive as I am, and after the truth, I'm still cautionary because, people's lives and tumors, you want to get them well, not hurt them. Let me see here. I was trained to eat a certain way to gain muscle and size, and now I am done playing, and I find it was very difficult to control my sugars and stop my cravings, complex carbs, meat, and fats. Well, when you have these problems, my friend Chad, you get a lot of fungus in you. And because fermentation of sugars takes place instead of proper metabolism, because you don't have proper metabolism anyway because your steroids are low. So instead of having proper metabolism, you have fermentation, and of course, who's involved in fermentation? Fungus. They come in from the ethers, guys. You can't stop this. You can make a kill, but you can't stop this. You must fix the faulty metabolism, and that's the adrenal glands, and come off the complex carbs. That's starch. No, we can't use starch like we can't use protein. These are complex structures that can't be used. Just understand how a protein has to be broken down, back down to the amino acids through the peptide stages before you can get to use it. So why consume a protein when your body has to break it all the way back down to amino acid? And I eat this right now, I'm getting my amino acids directly. Why should I waste my body's energy and time? It does nothing for me but weaken me. And it acidifies me because it's an acidic process. When you get complex chemistry, generally acids are involved because complexity, you need the big boys. Here's another one for you. Remember Steve Allen, building muscle out of fruits, berries, melons, and veggies. I don't know, he's writing a new book. I don't know, raw power. I think that went out, but you might try Stephen Arlin, A-R-L-I-N. He was with David Wolf. One of the three. As an athlete, I was and am. I find my body is now breaking down. Well, that's because you acidified it too much. And that's a negative side of building in our society with proteins. You got the muscle look, but then you have the decay afterwards. It's just the improper way to do it. Go to your veggies and do it. Now you don't acidify. You get to keep your kidneys and you get to keep your muscles. And it's just a beast of another color. And here's another little secret. There's an energy that comes into you when you clean and you get all these systems online. There's an energy that comes into your muscles that comes from I don't know where. The only way I can say is the three-letter G-O-D, because all I know is that when I got a certain point, my muscles, I went, whoa, holy crap. I couldn't believe it. The energy was so intense in my muscles, I felt like they were 1,000 times stronger than they ever felt. I go, wow. And this is true. And a lot of you are already experiencing that. It's cool stuff to get healthy. And that's what you want to do. That's where you want to focus. But also, don't focus too hard, because you want to keep some of that to look around and enjoy the beauty of being detached. You know, because experiences are better when you're not pulled into it and ravished with emotions and thoughts. Experiences are fun when you just enjoy the experience for what it is and then go to the next one. Just like little children, remember that? My 6'4", pituitary right there, right guys? Pituitary right off. When you're 6'4" in this world, you got a pituitary problem, right? 265 pounds, stature is now causing me to ache, have high blood pressure, that's your kidneys, of course. Ache is acidosis, of course, and stop me from competitively playing basketball, my hobby. I love basketball. I haven't played it in years. I grew up in Indiana, was basketball city, and in my time growing up, football, you played in the backyard with your cousins. But basketball, you fought over. Bobby Knight, all that. If I could control or even cure my diabetes, I could be open to doing anything. You can cure it, and you want to use the word cure. It's not diabetes. You're not curing a disease. You're in there rebuilding your tissues that control sugar metabolism and everything else. If you're a type 1, you're into the beta cells. But is it a neurological type 1 where the beta cells are being suppressed neurologically? Doesn't matter. Go after it anyway. Go after the pancreas. Use the pancreatic formula. Go after why these systems shut down. You got to address the why. Why does systems shut down in the body? Acidosis, mucus, high proteins, which is acidosis. All those things shut us down, don't build us up. It seems to build us up, the illusion. Because what's going on inside? Sometimes when you deskin a beautiful looking person, they're not so pretty inside. And that has leveled thinking to it. The average life expectancy for someone with type 1 for so long and a family history of heart disease is approximately 60. If anyone could tell me how to at least cure my diabetes, I would be forever grateful. I'll help you, man. You got to get up here, become a member, and get an appointment with one of the girls, or I'll help you. And we'll get you out of that. There's regeneration, guys. Regeneration. See Marcy, because she's a type 1. She's soon not to be. She's at that border of almost done. But remember, she's 35 years on insulin. So be 35 years on a steroid and see what it does to you. And that's the problem here. And another problem for you, Chad, is the insulin. You can't take a hormone or steroid, or it weakens the respective tissue that produces it. So it's a catch-22. You take it, your body even shuts down more. So it's problematic. That's why there's a certain way you move yourself through this. You get on the raw foods, but type 1, you get on the fruits, because they will clean you. They will after glucose loading and all that, you'll see your blood sugars go right on down. So fruits, berries, and melons at the top of your list. Vegetables are going to make your blood sugar go. But of all things, of course, you're not going to go. Even proteins can make your blood sugar increase. Explain that one. Any type 1, eat seafood, boom, all of that sort of thing. You've got to go way back to very simple structured foods. Foods that are base balanced or alkaline balanced. Foods that will hydrate. Foods that will enhance. Foods that will turn on. Foods that will clean out. Foods that will neutralize the inflammation and acids which cause inflammation. Foods that hydrate. Those are the things that cure. And cure doesn't mean cure diseases. That's ridiculous. That's their world. Cure means rebuilding and regenerating that which is weak. This is a word we can all use. Just because they think it cures, it is lumped to diseases, we don't live in that world. You live in the world of diseases. Nobody cures diseases because nobody understands them. These are just names attached to different symptoms. When you're having sugar metabolism problems, that's coming from one place. When you're not driving insulin or glucose into a cell with insulin, that's another different place you go to. There's different cells in your body that do different things and produce different things. You just go to those tissues, what's going on? What happened? Why aren't you producing that? Well, take a look at what we've done to the human body through our dietary habits of the last 200 or 300 years, particularly when we now love chemistry so much. It was a slow move when we were just doing bad diets. Now, kids are drinking purple drinks and neon drinks, radioactive drinks. Look at what we're putting into our bodies. And then if these chemtrails are accurate, look at what we're breathing. Look at the lotions and stuff they made for women that were nothing but chemicals. You know, Shania Twain, I think, has a second perfume line. But they're not 100% natural. She's a natural woman. There's a lot of toxic chemicals and neurotoxins in these perfumes and stuff. A lot of crap. Okay, you'll get rid of your type 1. We'll just call it type 1 and we'll get rid of your sugar problems. But you have to fix yourself a little bit. If you're malabsorbed from this lymph system and this kidney adrenal issue here, you might get a little thin, bro, but you can't worry about it. You always build back. But you've got to fix yourself. And you can fix this type 1, I'm telling you. If anyone, so call up Marcy, make yourself an appointment, not expensive, and get yourself online and get yourself fixed up. You get rid of this, you'll be a new person again. Because you have to fix your adrenals. That's why the hypoglycemic seizures, in my opinion. You got to fix those adrenals, and they sit right on top of the kidneys. When you sit right on top of the kidneys, and you're having adrenals like that, you're having blood sugar, you're not filtering from your kidneys, I can tell you. That's why you're starting to feel. You're starting to feel what the acids have been doing to you. And that's the problem. By the time you start feeling the stiffness and the inflammation and stuff like that, you're really involved. And sometimes by the time we realize we have tumors and things in us, we're way on down the road to Hellville. Didn't realize it. It's how adaptive the body can be. So you just have to turn your car around and go back to Wellville again. I am willing to approach this new lifestyle change with a passion and velocity. I hope so, because you will be a winner. And if you're an NFL potential, you've got that tenacity and strength, and that's what it takes, and you will be a winner. And the same thing, an NFL player or a basketball, that's your passion. When you enter health with a passion, you can't help but be successful. Nothing can stand in your way. You've opened the doors of the mind and the emotions. That's your passion. That's your focus. And there's nothing can stop that unless you allow it. And that's why I say become passionate about life and the beauty of life and passionate about being healthy and well. Hard to be that way when you're sick and in pain. I realize that. So use your imaginations to drive you into Wellville, because you can get into Wellville. Each and every one of you can. Some's going to burn a little longer. I can't help any of that. And I can't help you get to Wellville. I like your thinking, Chad. I really like your thinking, bro. Any sample meal plans or ideas would be much appreciated. Well, first I'd go into 100% raw foods. That's first, number 101. Now, my opinion totally is, and we've experimented this for years, fruit does not require insulin, and not to what they say, and we've talked a lot about this. So you can go on a fruit diet, and after a few days of breaking down glycogen and things like this and glucose loading, or a few weeks, you'll find that, boom, your blood sugars will be spot on with fruit. So you're looking at more for fructose as opposed to glucose. So my diet would be more fruits, berries, and melons than it would be vegetables. Because vegetables are going to make my blood sugar go up. Because it's the glucose that you're having problems with, not fructose. But then you're also having problems with all the other sugars from glucose down, which is your more complex sugars of dipolysaccharides. Your sucroses, maltoses, all of those toses, dextrose, and all of that. So those are the sugars you're having trouble with, not with fructose. So you shift toward that anyway, and you work toward that. At the same time, watch your insulin. Because I'm going to tell you, I had a nurse over in Miami, 40 and 40, and 1 week she's off completely and freaking out, going, if I hadn't reduced it, I'd have been in a coma now. So you had to really watch your blood sugars when you're working these programs, because one thing's factual, you're regenerating your bodies, and in a certain X amount of time, you will see your blood sugars come down and your tissues regenerate, and you can't continue with the same dosage as they were giving you. So you have to become a conscious participator in your own wellness journey, which is all good stuff. It empowers you. It makes you strong. And more than anything, it pulls you into the world of truth, out of the world of illusion. And after all, after you play long enough in the world of illusion, it's fun to wake up. I am a 58-year-old Danish female. I have 2 high blood pressure and diabetic number 2, and maybe also adrenal fatigue. Okay, and this is Marion. Marion? Well, let's go back, because Chad had high blood pressure too. Well, where that comes from? Kidneys. Kidneys. And what sits on top of the kidneys? The adrenal glands. Type 2 is always the adrenal glands. Low cortisol levels. So it doesn't matter what your blood work shows, I can tell you. I've never seen any test that's accurate test for steroids. I've never seen one. But your type 2 is coming out of your adrenal glands along with your fatigue. So yeah, you got to fix those adrenal glands. And, I would take an adrenal glandular at first. Generally, if your blood pressure gets, because you have high blood pressure, but high blood pressure is really low blood pressure. Sounds confusing, but it isn't. We start out with going down, but then we start going up. Because going down means everything's shutting down. Your adrenals are going down, your kidneys are losing filtration, everything's starting to go down. But then because of that, everything builds pressure, everything gets dehydrated, everything swells with water, becomes edemic, then everything starts going up. When you start fixing all of the edema, all of the acidosis, all of that, you get your kidneys filtering, the blood pressure starts going down. Now you start going down toward what? Your genetics. And I see this almost every time where we try to keep that blood pressure up, and it's almost like God takes you right down to your genetic past and then regenerates the cells. Totally turns out that morphology of the cell. Interesting stuff. But you see it all the time there. And so your trouble's right at the kidneys and adrenal glands right there. Now, how much your lymph system has got beat up for that, you have to look at your eyes and see. But you got to realize these 2 tissues, kidney and adrenals, sit at the prepatus, or at the doorway of your lymphatic system. And I'll say the doorway in both ways. And you just got to fix that. This is important to fix, because this is, in the medical world, this is their world of diseases, is the lymphatic system. If they just listen to their higher, their more aware medical doctors, they would learn more about the lymphatic system. At least if they learned what the lymphologists know, that would at least be a big, big help to us. Then they wouldn't be so much on us for that system. But I'm sure a lot of medical doctors don't even know lymphologists. Okay, adrenal fatigue. But my doctors say that there is nothing called adrenal fatigue. I don't know. You know, there's words called, hey, Drew. There's words called adrenal insufficiency. There's all kinds of words out there. Who cares what you use? Adrenal fatigue, it's a good word. My adrenals are tired. But what's going on there? I mean, the fatigue doesn't give you the accurate depiction of the story at hand. But it's a word we use, meaning your adrenals are weak and tired. And there's a lot of words. Adrenal insufficiency, there's all kinds of words out there, like I said. Who cares? I mean, who cares? That's that mind again, biting on words. Medical doctors like to bite on words. Well, go bite on words. This lady's in adrenal and kidney stress. So I'm so tired, and that's your adrenals. That's low neurotransmitters. That's what I'm saying. You're going to see your blood pressure as you go down. Remember, your diastolic is your kidney pressure. Your systolic is your adrenal pressure. Once that diastolic starts to go down, no matter what your adrenal pressure is on top, it'll go right down with it. I don't concern myself at all with adrenal pressure. Not really. It's the bottom pressure that's the key, the diastolic. I am so tired and overweight, and both of those things are adrenal glands. Now, you could have some thyroid in there as well. You know, you have to do your basal temperatures under your arm and check your height, check all that to see if there's a pituitary influence. This is why these videos are so important for you guys. I'm teaching you how to look at your bodies and how to look at your glands and size yourselves up and see what you need and fix them. You got your eyes. I'm teaching you how to read your eyes. I'm teaching you all how to be your own practitioners because no one else is helping you. And you need to help yourselves. And it's just a sad state of affairs down at this level of creation right now. And you guys are here to help me change it, I think. And we're doing a good job, I think. Fantastic job. I'm excited about this healing center and this whole association we're starting together with Marco and the guys and all of us. We got other YouTubers we're planning things with. We've got some neat things coming, guys. Some fun things and good trainings and seminars. I'd like to have a yearly seminar, like I said, where you came and we had different classes you could take and different lectures you could attend, music, kinds of etheric, beautiful music, art rooms. Wouldn't that be fun? Real fun. That's real fun. Get to mingle with like-minded people. That's so much fun. Because most of us are out here in the fields of dreams alone. She said, I'm so tired and overweight, but I don't know how to start to get at much more healthy life. Start going raw. Start changing your dietary habits. Number 1, and you can do that immediately. You don't have to wait on herbs. You don't have to do anything like that. Diet, change it now. Go to a raw food diet. At least 50% fruits, berries, and melons, and the other 50 salads, or veggies, or green drinks. But if you really want to get well, I would do about 75% fruits, berries, and melons. That's breakfast and maybe lunch, and at night have some green drinks. If you're really craving and you're trying to work yourself toward this, then have some steamed vegetables at night with a green drink or a salad with some steamed vegetables. But through the day, you're doing fruits, berries, and melons. You've got to move toward this type of diet to get well, or you can't get well. Now, I've got a lady with cancer, and she's a daddy's girl or something. And the dad wants her to do chemo because he was successful, but they told him he was one of the very, very few. So now she can't do the diet because the dad doesn't like the diet, but she'll do the herbs. And this lady is heading toward the doorway pretty quick. I don't know. Diet is everything. I have just got my first grandchild. And I would like to see her grown up. Well, you just learn how you feed humans properly. And that includes little baby humans. Can you give us some advice? My daughter has been helped by you, so I will try too. Marion. Marion, listen, I just talked about that earlier, what you feed babies earlier in this video, so look at that. If you need any help, call the staff. They'll help you in terms of that. But I don't know, our little grandchild, the second one, great-grandchild, isn't it? Yeah, our grandchild. I've got great-grandchildren now are coming. It's like, oh, my God. I'm only 65. Oh, man. I'm still young yet. What are you talking about? Anyway. Fruits, berries, melons, they digest simply. They're the highest energetic foods and some of the highest nutritional foods. Why would you not eat those? They fit our design perfectly. They fit in the creatures that look just like us similarly, the primate family. We are very close. Why, in terms of physicalness, why would we think of eating something that lions eat or wild bears or wild wolves eat? Why would we do something like that? I don't know. Ooh, this is a long one. Let me see here. Where's my time at? Ooh, honey. Candy, honey. This is a long one, sweetheart. All right, let's see what we got here, Candy. I've watched another video with this email address for questions, so I feel secure in sharing my story. Oh, well. My name is Candy, and my age is 46 years old. I met a raw vegan this past late November, and at that time totally cut out white sugar and started indulging in raw veggie treats. Excellent. I was still eating some junk, pure D junk too. My journey of self-healing through nutrition started 4 weeks ago and really diving in deep 9 days ago when I found you on YouTube talking about Candida albicans. I feel like it was a huge overload of nuts, specifically walnuts, that threw me into full-blown acidosis. It's possible. You know, I did the same thing, though. Can't beat yourself up. Because I opened up health food stores after I came out of the woods, and I thought, this is going to help. I can help people this way. But I started eating out of my health food store. Well, wouldn't you? Nuts are good, right? We're all taught nuts are good. Right. Acidosis. Absolutely. And one nut's one thing. But a handful? I mean, that's the thing. You see, moderation. But, I mean, this world doesn't have moderation tied to it, I don't think. It's easy to eat a handful. It's easy for me to eat a handful of, let's say, pine nuts with a same handful of raisins. Raisins and pine nuts, or raisins and almonds, raisins and pecans, but raisins and almonds and raisins and pine nuts. I could eat them by the gallons. And my body would go, no, 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 no. I started getting a weird rash that would start as a little red itchy bump. Then it would go through a process and make a blister. Ooze, just a clear fluid. Yeah, that's your lymph system. That's it. That's a clear fluid. That's a lymph system right there. Typical stuff, though. I've had that happen to me growing up. I mean, I've seen this all the time. My finger was very swollen. I released that pressure. I make my own bath salts and soaked it and expressed it. I've been in the medical field for 20 plus years, so I can see that the treatment of a condition never reveals a cure. Smart woman. I don't have health insurance, but it would be about 9 days for a total of about 11 spots to erupt on my hand. Wow. It shows. But, you know, women generally, guys, traditionally use more soaps, more body lotions, more hand lotions than males do. And I've seen this with nursing because they put on gloves, and then as soon as they get the gloves off, they put a lotion on their hand. Well, these are chemical lotions. And of course, what you see in time with nurses is that their hands start getting dried and then cracking and splitting and then bleeding sometimes. And it's just when you detox, they go back to split and bleed sometimes because you've saturated your tissues in there. And when your lymph system isn't working well, your lymph system can't pull these chemicals out and down to the kidneys anymore. So they're stuck. And that's the problem. That's when you see the blistering and you see the tumors and you see all these lipomas and all these things like this. Is when things are what do I want to say, stagnant. Stagnation of a fluid means there's a blockage to that fluid. And when there's a blockage to this fluid, then there's no free flowing of that fluid. And depends what the nature of that fluid is, what it does for you. Do you see what happens? If it's the blood, you're going to kiss some cells goodbye, if not yourself, depending on where the infarction and the thing's happening. If it's a lymph system, you're going to get pain and swelling and then tumors and then the death of cells too. It's just a longer, more painful death. Same end result. A week later, one came out of my right hand that was weaker. Then the last The last final one on my right lower quadrant, which didn't blister up. The one of the right hand seemed to come out after mixing up another small batch of my new favorite treat. I had cut out nuts for some days, but wanted a couple. I knew then it wasn't what some call shingles. Wasn't going to an MD, they wouldn't know and would want to give a pill or a cream. Over the last 9 days, I have watched nonstop videos, documentaries, and speaking with my raw vegan friend. I cut out all processed oils, fats, nuts, and about 4 weeks ago. My hand looks better, but it still seems like there is something I'm doing that I will make the last spots that come out on my hand get a little redder at times. Well, I think if you stop a minute and realize that this is just let you know that what you were doing was adding more acidosis into an already acidic system, honey. And I think if you look at that, you're just seeing that this just took you over the top. This just took you over the top. That's why it's not going away as fast as you would like. Because now you're seeing the reality of your system. You've kind of reached that full cup scenario. So all I'm saying is that you got to go after the kidneys and adrenal glands now. Now you got to go after systemic lymphatic systems. You got to go after yourself systemically. So you go after the kidneys, the adrenals, and the lymph system, and that'll pull this right up to the lymph nodes and then right out the kidneys. So you want to open up those doors. You want to open the lymph nodes because obviously you have stagnation there. And you just took yourself to that position of, I filled my tank. And now I see the symptoms of that. When I back off of that fuel, I see some resolve, but I don't see complete resolve. And that's because that system is, you have a systemic problem. And you're just seeing that. And so go back and fix that systemically, and all that will clear up, and you'll be done with that. And any potential other problem that could happen with the lymph system like this. A woman, fibrocystic breast, then tumors, you know, just go on and on and on with stuff like this. I kept listening to you and was amazed. Get this, my first thing that my parents dealt with was I wet my bed for way too long in the 5th grade. I had my tonsils removed. I was taken to an allergist for really bad. There you go. That's just what I was saying. You hit it right on, sweetheart. That's just what I was saying. Your lymph system was backed up then. You just had went it over the top and really made you couldn't go any further. It showed you were reaching that max, and anything deeper was going to really mess with you. So good, this just shows you that you were born with this. But what that does say that your mom probably's lymph system is a mess. You know? He said I was allergic to nuts. I think he specified walnuts, but that I would have to eat a whole lot of them. Can I be allergic to nuts? You could be allergic to different proteins in the sense that you have too many. It's kind of like peanuts or anything else. When you reach, and it's like sulfa drugs or anything else, when you reach a certain maximum saturation of these drugs or proteins or anything like that, your body then has an immune response like, no, I'm full, I need to be detoxed. So you're doing the appropriate thing. You need to detox yourself. And once you get all that out, then you can go back and have a walnut or two now, and then you'll be okay. But you're just too much proteins. And this is you've reached your saturation of acidosis, and you're seeing now the blowback from the lymph system. And it's like, ooh, that's not good. Not all nuts were soaked and dehydrated, but I think it wouldn't have mattered. I don't either. LOL, if you couldn't see the amount I ate. I was knocking out a batch in 2 days, maybe 3 times. Ooh, yeah, that's, and it's easy to do that because these natural things taste good, but you got all in due balance. It's hard not to eat handfuls of that stuff sometimes. Done it. Man, my health went back down a little bit when I had those health food stores because raw milk, what's bad? It's raw milk. I sold raw milk yogurt. I sold raw milk. That's when I could. And raw milk cheeses. We sold raw milk cheeses all the time. I didn't know any better. Neither did Doc Jensen. He didn't know any better either. He served raw milk cheeses and whole grain breads at his Health Valley retreat. And that's what we all assumed. We all use carrot juice fast. I've been through a lot, and so's a lot of us. So thank God I can sit here and at least tell you the things that I've seen and went through and that you might not have to, because it's a time killer. I've already burned up a lot of my years. So if I can save you and get you healthier quicker and save you years of going up and down, back and forth like I did, let me do it. I had cut out all processed oils near the beginning of the rash, suggested by Janan, my new raw vegan friend, Janan, Janan. She gives classes, shares recipes, and shows how to prepare raw meals with veggies. Thank goodness I've lived a pretty healthy lifestyle. I have used 100% pure therapeutic grade oils for 3 years. Every time they have worked on my now 4 years old, but I never seem to treat myself the same. I'm a much better caregiver to my boys. That's always the case. Can't beat yourself up too much, sweetheart. It's always the case. We always help others better. I'm doing the same thing. I can get some people so healthy that why didn't I take myself back up to some of these levels? It's just like I'm trying to maintain a balance, and so it's like, okay, because man, if I go any further, I won't be in my body. I'm hardly in it now. So I will start to use oregano oil. That's awful strong. Melaleuca. And some other more regularly. I'd suggest you go after your kidneys, your adrenal glands, and your lymphatic system, dear one. Forget this other stuff. You're trying to kind of treat it in its own way. Go full bore detox. That's what you need. And that's what you're saying here to me. You're saying you're allergy ridden. That means your lymph system's a mess. And you're right there. So I'd say take a picture of your eyes and look at that and see where you go, where you fit. Look at your lymph system in your eyes. Look at your bowels. Look at your kidneys. But to my history as a teenager, I had bad cystic acne. See, right there, you're just telling your whole story here to everyone, which is excellent, because what you're showing us is that you are already extremely lymphatically compromised. You already had kidney filtration problems and adrenals down. You already had those things out of the chute of mama. And so you're just seeing, you've reached your max. You need to detoxify and clean all this up, honey. What if I only knew then what I know now? Weak adrenals and kidneys make sense to me. Yeah. My father has severe psoriasis on the scalp. Same thing. Well, yeah, there you go. Mom and dad, genetic kidney and adrenals. Your dad's lymph system's a mess, and I'm sure your mom's is too, for you to come out like this. Yep, you're right on, sweetheart. Elbows and knees. My brother has skin issues. You're all lymphatics. Absolutely. But this is, the human body isn't that complex. And so it's easy to understand the organs and glands and the simple machine that it is, driven by cells and serviced by two fluids. You got a consumption and elimination as the two processes that all life goes through. Just simple stuff like that. And not all chemistry is on the positive, feel-good side. Remember, you got duality here. You got 50-50. So you got the acid side and you got the base side. But the real feel-good chemistry is right in the middle, to be honest with you. Balance is the feel-good side. You're not radical on one side or the other side. Sometimes you have to visit each side radically to learn balance. But that's the nature of creation, isn't it? I'm thankful that my dad is so agile. He is 77. Ooh, strong genes. That might be good. And still plays softball. He puts out a big garden and good genes. That could work in his favor. You need to go after your dad. Go after yourself, go after your dad, get that psoriasis, because that doesn't lead to anything good. I mean, this is on the head. So what's in the head? The central nervous system. So we're dealing in Alzheimer's, we're dealing in dementia, we could deal in all kinds of things. When the cerebellum fills up, we could have equilibrium, dizzy, swinging blood pressure problems, remember, all those things. And I'm going to try to emphasize that he not use chemicals. I feel like I'm to be a light for him and others. You are, my dear. You are the light. And I'm proud of you for standing up like that. I would be glad to share my story. Shoot, I can just look at this as an experiment if I want to. I caught a little of one video where you had a guy on there saying maybe he was from a farm on Costa Rica and they implement your recommendations and it works. I would love to see more of that. I think it would be good for the general population to witness testimonies, positive cure results. Well, that's why the club. And any of you guys want to do videos, we'll put you up on our club website. But we're now asking people if we can do little videos because we want to put you up on the website. Before, the FDA and the state would have come in and slapped me bad. And you got to be real careful out there. You're not living in Wellville, and I mean this is Hellville in all levels. And it's just that souls are so constipated here they don't realize what they're doing to others. It's amazing. They're so trapped. This is very trapped level of creation. So getting your light up, getting your consciousness awake and stuff like that, that's your survival. That's your survival on this rock. If not, you'll be like a leaf blowing in the wind, believing one thing, going over to another thing, going to another thing, doing this, trying that, never finding your wellness, never finding your journey. I hosted a live food party yesterday, and it was awesome. I'm sharing your videos with friends. Thank you, my dear one. Love you, sweetheart. Some specific questions. Okay, let's get to these questions. One thing I watched started when having Candida albicans, you have a leaky gut. What do you think of water enemas? Coffee enemas, maybe that should be my next step. I have had leaky gut. That sounds gross. I'd be disappointed in myself if I have leaky gut. You know, I know it's a word out there, and I've said this to you before. I don't use that phraseology. I don't like that phraseology at all. For me, a leaky gut means a perforated bowel, and you're in deep doo-doo, and you don't get to a surgeon within a few hours, you're going to be a dead duck. So that's what a leaky gut means to me, is a perforated bowel. Other than that, you have a bowel that can, you have capillaries that are absorbed by, you might leak interstitially, but I tell you, nothing good can come of that sort of scenario. So I don't use that word for that, but there's a lot of other words. I mean, look at the gut of most people. The human gut, the human GI tract, is a holy shithouse mess. Pardon my French. It is a shithouse mess because all we put down in it was abrasive proteins and sticky, gluey foods. When you're eating starches and proteins, you're putting down acids and glue. So now we have balloon, spastic, prolapsed bowels all over the place. There's no such thing as healthy colons. I'd be amazed if you could find a healthy colon anywhere in the world. Anywhere. Maybe the islanders. Use herbs and diet to fix your bowels. They're much more effective than enemas. And enemas, you're only playing with the colon. And sometimes overstimulating of the colon creates severe constipation. And overstimulating of tissue is not how you get well. And I am definitely not a proponent of coffee enemas. The overstimulation of kidney, hepatic tissue is not in the game of getting well. These tissues have already been overstimulated with acids. You need to rest them. You need to give them a break today. We've overworked. We demanded so much out of a human body to digest and break down and utilize the most bizarre foods to the human body ever. So it's no wonder the human element or state is where it's at. Just going back to a raw food living diet of fruits, berries, and melons, predominantly with some salads, changes almost everybody immediately. At least much, much better. I think Dr. Oz went back to his raw foods. He was looking better the other day, more energetic. I could tell he was eating better. And he had a whole big thing of raw foods. I could tell he was back on his raw, at least temporarily. Kombucha tea. You know what? I used to raise that mushroom all the time. I think we still have a starter somewhere. We keep something, but you know what? I don't see. I used it for a while. I'm like, I don't see any improvements. I mean, other than, because you got to realize when you're stepping on this plate, and you're stepping into a high raw food, high fruit, berry, and melon diet and herbs, you're on the highest level you can get. You're down here trying to use mushrooms to enhance immune cells, and it's like, well, I haven't seen any real good research to show any T's and B's and lymphocytes being enhanced with mushrooms, to be honest with you. Not any more than what you would by making these tissues healthy. I rarely use my immune formulas. I have an immune formula where I use the baby mushrooms. I have the shiitake, I have them all, and I use the baby ones because they're more powerful. But I don't see any difference. I have Immune 2, or the Ultimate Immune, but that is, I'm into the regeneration of bone marrow with that one. That's my ultimate goal with that formula, is into your bone marrow and regenerate. That's how you really start regenerating your immune system, if you want to call it that. What do you think? Stay off of it. I don't care what you do playing with that, but my big deal is the raw foods, not mushrooms so much. They're a fungi and a protein. So I'm a little, I don't know, I love mushrooms. They eat them, but I don't use them therapeutically much. I hear it's alkaline, high in B12, that it's good bacteria. I was drinking maybe 2 8-ounce glasses a day. I've cut back to maybe a glass every other day or two. I take probiotics, which I disagree with, of course. I have for years, and I have drank warm water with organic lemons first thing in the morning. Now that I agree with totally. And then for a couple of years maybe. I did oil pulling for a while. Seemed like I could tell a difference in my gums and teeth for sure, and how my mouth would feel in the mornings. Well, yeah, when you oil everything. But here's the thing. It's still simply tissues with blood and lymph flow. Whether you're in the gums of your mouth or you're in the chambers of your heart, it doesn't matter. They're all the same. And you get to them by the same process. They're just a little further away from the kidneys than the heart would be, or the liver, or the pancreas. Same thing with the brain. But it's still the same type of tissues. It's still fed by the lymph and blood. It's still, you see where I'm coming from here, guys? Number 3, any fermented live food. Well, again, fermentation is on its way to death, and of course in fermentation now you have fungus. So if anybody's bitching about Candida albicans and you're eating fermented food, then quit bitching. It's better than packaged junk and dead animal tissue for sure. Well, for sure. My last piece of dead animal tissue was 9 days ago, and didn't even I didn't eat even much organic chicken before then. But now, no way. Good woman. Dairy has been out of my many years. That's a real good woman. Except for cheese on a veggie pizza. You know, once in a blue moon, if I smell a pizza, I go, oh God, I just got to have a bite. One bite. That's all you need. Ugh. That has got all the baddies. I can't imagine anything worse than pizza. Got all the baddies. Apple cider vinegar. I don't care. I mean, you know, try living foods, fruit breakfasts, and go on fasting and detoxification instead of trying to fix yourself with food types. Fast, detoxify. That's much better. Yes or no? I'm going to say no, but you can if you want. But I don't do vinegars. No way. My grandmother's a vinegar freak. Oh, I've read that it can be helpful in getting candida overgrowth under control. Really, yeah. That it is antifungal and alkaline. I don't know about that. You know, take a litmus paper, stick it to your apple cider vinegar, and you tell me what it is. Some theories say you go through steps. When you starve it, kill it, put good bacteria in, and that helps overtake the bad. Well, I have to tell you guys, there's no such thing as bad and good bacteria. There's no such thing as bad and good. I mean, that's man's concepts of these things. You simply have different bacteria for different types of food. If you're a dead animal eater, expect the proteolytics. Don't bitch. Remember the young guy had lymphoma, went up to northern Alaska, was put on a dead animal, a rotten dead animal food regimen, and overcame his lymphoma from that? I will agree, though, it was from probiotics. but different type of probiotics than you buy in your store. But this young lad didn't fix his problem. He just let what that system needs is bacteria. That's why lymph nodes are full. That's why you don't use antibiotics when you have infections and things, because it isn't the bacteria that's the problem. Now, they can go a little nuts, and sometimes maybe you have to back them down a little bit, but if you make a thorough kill, you'll regret it. Same thing with fungus. If you're eating complex starch and your adrenals are down, and even natural fruits and vegetables, and your adrenals are down, and your cortisols are down, you're going to have fungus helping to deal with sugar fermentation, because when you're eating fermented foods, you're eating fungus. So I don't know what people are thinking. You know, everybody's pushing and pulling here. You don't want fungus, but you're eating fungal foods. Fix your weakness in your body, detox. You'll get the fungus out of your body and detox. That's easy to do. But you'll always have it coming back in, because you have to have an X amount of that, because you always have at one level or not fermentation in some cycle. And putrefaction if you're into the proteins. So there's some degree of this exists at all levels, no matter what you do. I think your focus is wrong. I think your focus needs to turn around to detoxification and regeneration of your body. That's what I think. You're trying to do all of this with different types of food sources and stuff. And you're walking down a fermented line, and yet over here you're bitching about candida. You can't do that. They are the same line. Coconut oil. Putting a teaspoon in warm water. Well, I don't mind if you use a little coconut oil. You know, it's anti-inflammatory, good stuff. But be careful with the oils, you know. But remember, again, going back to oils. You absorb oils where? Through the small bowel into the what? Through the small bowel villi into the lymphatic capillaries. That's the little smallest part of the venous and the lymphatic systems. These are the little micro fibers that go everywhere into the interstitial areas to clean and feed, both vascularly and lymphatically. So you want to make sure, and what you're telling me here is your lymphatic system's a mess. So you're trying to consume healthy things, or things that too much consumption will cause unhealthiness. Too much oil is not good either, guys. Look at nature. When you look at the fatty acid content of foods, it is not at the top. So you have to be careful with too many oils. And when you have a lymphatic system that's down, your body's wanting oils, but you can't take them. You have to fix the system. And that's what you're not alluding to here, honey. Oregano oil, be careful. You know, I was at a lecture at Willie's, and I felt bad about that, but this practitioner got up before me and was talking about oregano oil, and cancer was a fungus problem, and these are all fungus things, and I was a long, hard trip getting up there, and I was in no mood for crap like that. So I got up next and I said, if you follow that practitioner, you're going down a wrong road, and I've never done that in my life. But you know, enough is enough. You know, talking about this crap and keeping people away from reality and truth, treating symptoms and stuff like that, we got to break that consciousness up, because it's what's keeping people away from Wellville. And asking questions like this constantly. I do trust the oils, because oils are anti-inflammatory. What is your lymphatic system? As an oil-based system. So you have to have fatty acids, but they don't rank the high. What's a high in terms of, let's just count the Fab 3. Carbs, lipids, and aminos, or proteins, however you want to look at that. Which one is the top? Sugars. Carbs, carbohydrates, essential. All right, now I'm going to go on down here a little ways, because this is a long, long, long letter. After prescription, it goes on. There's some excuse about melaleucas, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, I've been doing yoga regularly since the first time of the year after being, I'm sorry I skipped through this, sweetheart, but it's such a long letter, honey. I know I will get balanced out. Thank you so much for sharing it. Thank you, sweetheart. Get your focus, Candy, get yourself focused on properly. Get yourself focused on detoxification, changing your diet to raw foods properly. Don't worry about the little supplement stuff like that. You start getting into these things. But I have no problem if you only want to have some kombucha or something else. I don't care about those sort of things. But if you want to detox properly, get yourself on a raw food diet, get yourself on a high fruit, berry, and melon diet, and detox yourself. Get into some herbs that'll clean and enhance the kidneys. Get your glands up and running. Your lymph system's a mess. And what you told me here in the front, you are in deep trouble with your lymph system. You better get onto it. You're just alluding to side factors and stuff like that. And some things, to me, are detrimental, like coffee enemas and stuff like that. You don't play with that game. And you get yourself locked. You get yourself severe constipation. You can't poop. And no one really ever cured themselves with coffee enemas. You overstimulate tissue. That's not good. You don't want to do that. Because now the lymph system has to come in even more. So it's just stimulation isn't the key. Neither is innervation. Either side is not good. It is the middle path, as Buddha said. You know what? I think we're just about out of time. I don't think this goes in there. Let me see what this one says. This is Mel. Hello, Mel. Hey, I was wondering if you could help me. My name is Mel. I am 17. Good to meet you, Mel. 17 years old. And Mel, and play soccer. Oh, cool. I saw the women's soccer team on American Idol last night. I guess they're going to be playing in Canada or something. Trying to go become a pro soccer player. So you want agility, you want speed, you don't want to be stiff and tight, do you? You want power when you have it, but you want agility. You don't get agility under acidosis. That actually stiffens you up. You want speed, you want agility, and you can get that when you start detoxifying that body, get these acids out. Then your agility, your quickness, everything, your response mechanisms, your ability to comprehend things earlier is there. All the things you want in playing sports is all good. But it's also good in academics. It's also good in every level. It's good. But I have had setback. Dr. Morse, I have been having this leg pain in my upper thigh and groin area for about 8 months. Yeah, I don't like that. And it happens every time after a game, and at least for about 3 days. Then goes away, and during the game, I have pain under the bottom of my feet. I have had so much pain where evening moving hurts. May you please help me with this. Okay. All right, Mel, listen. This might sound redundant, but you got to address your kidney and adrenal glands, or you're going to lose your hip and your upper femur. This is a common weakness when you lose the kidneys in genetics. And I see it all the time in the downline. There goes the femur, there goes the hips, and of course then comes the knees and everything else. And that's because, and you see that, why? Because you're into sports, right? And you're running, you're doing all kinds of activity. And then in comes the discomfort. Why? Because what are you creating in your activity? Acids, right? You create a lot more additional acids from lactic acid. Remember we talked about this, how we kick up more oxygenation. So now we have all the acids kicking up because we have oxygenation kicking up. So what we have now is higher phosphoric acids, carbonic acids, lactic acids, and maybe even uric acids from all of this. So all these acids are kicking up, but you're not eliminating them. So you're feeling the blowback from that. And the blowback from acidosis is swelling, pain, and of course the worst side of that is decay and atrophy, the breaking down of the tissue itself. And of course, acids suck calcium out of the joints to try to neutralize them, to try to stop them from damaging the cells. So now what do we have? Now we're developing arthritis or calcifications from the body's defense mechanism against acids. So now our joints get weak, but now we have deformed joints. Look at RA, look at all the bodybuilders, all the athletic people that are pumping high proteins. Look at the RA devastation out there from that. The joints, the mutated joints. It's all under the acid sky, guys. And when you're in activity, you create acidosis. Then you rest, and and elimination takes place. So after a game, you want to suck down the fruit juices and the kidney and lymphatic and adrenal formulas. Don't you think? I would. And that's where you get your kidneys filtering, or you're going to have more serious problems with that hip joint. And you don't want to do that, my friend. Well, you're only 17. So at 17, you know immediately, guys, it's anybody out there 40 or below, count on kidney and adrenals. Count on it. You don't have to accept it, but know that that's where you need to work and work on your body in that way. The pain on the bottom of the feet is just from the nerve, probably from the nerve up here, or when you build acids up, then nerve, reflects those, becomes spastic even. And of course, all your nerve endings in the bottom of your feet. You could have acid crystals under the bottom of your feet. That's highly probable with everything that you're doing. That's why we have foot reflexologies to move these acids away from these nerve endings, because you can feel that. But you got to detox them out of the body. You got to fix your kidney and adrenals. If we're going to the core issue of this, you're going to your kidneys and adrenals and your lymphatic system. And you give a perfect story of how that is. In activity, I feel it. When I rest and kick back, I feel it goes away. But it takes a few days to go away. So that's very poor filtration from the kidneys. You want to fix this now, and then all these symptoms will go away, Mel, and you'll be good. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate the time you take to view these videos. I'm humbled. I'm overjoyed because the universe is overjoyed. Because we're making a change. We're making a huge difference. You are all sweet, beautiful souls. And accept your divinity. Let go of the negative stuff. Be the God person you guys are and act accordingly. Hold out your hand to your fellow beings, whether they're man, animal, or plant, or mineral, and give them a boost up. I love you guys. Have a great, great whatever, and I'll see you on the next video. Matter of fact, I'll see a lot of you in class Monday, and this is Thursday. And I'll see a lot of you coming up Monday. I hope we have a good time there. It's going to be fun. We're filming that video, and that's going to be our new level 1 video, by the way. So I hope you don't mind being filmed. Bye now. Love y'all.